This evening from Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida, the Red Sox play their 10th game of a road trip that could wind up as their signature moment of the regular season. It's Game 3 with Tampa Bay. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside the Trop. I'm Dave O'Brien. My partner, of course, is Jerry Remy. Garen Austin joining us in just a couple of moments. Starting pitching, Jerry, has driven the Red Sox to a share of first place in the American League East, and Rick Porcello has been the main force tonight, going for his 18th win.
Well, he really has been the main force all season long for the Red Sox, and, you know, you get to a position as a player when you go in that clubhouse and you know Porcello's pitching, you feel you're going to win that ball game. That's what he means to the Boston Red Sox, and look at the numbers. 17 wins, that's tied for first for most in the American League. Look at the walks, only 1.53 walks for 9 innings. That's third best in the American League. And Porcello tonight pitching against a ball club, Tampa Bay, that he's had great success against this year. So far this season, 3 starts against the Rays. He's 3-0 with an ERA just slightly over 2.
He has been outstanding. Just about automatic, as you saw there, 19-6 the Red Sox when he is on the mound. And when we come back, Garen Austin will be talking to Carl Willis about Mr. Reliable in the Red Sox starting rotation, Rick Porcello. Game number 3 between the Sox and the Rays, and it's coming up in just a moment. Time to toss it down to Garen Austin for more on the great season of Rick Porcello.
Well, thanks, OB. Well, Rick Porcello has been on a roll, and tonight he has a chance to lead the majors with 18 wins. In his last 10 starts, he's 9-1 with a 2.28 ERA. And I talked to pitching coach Carl Willis about the impressive season he's been having.
Well, I think a couple things. Obviously, consistency. He's been very consistent throughout. But I think just how he's able to maintain his focus and his preparation each and every outing. He comes as prepared as any, and just his intensity, his attention to detail, seemingly never tires. And I think it's certainly a big factor in the success he's having.
And so is more than a little bit of superstition. He continues to wear that lucky cap, which might be white by the end of the season. Rick Porcello trying to go to 18-3, Game 3 with the Rays coming up. Citizens Bank. Visit citizensbank.com. And by the Massachusetts Highway Safety Division. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien back with you from Tropicana Field. Red Sox and the Rays about to have at it. You check out the standings inside the division. Dead even. The Red Sox and Toronto at the top. The Yankees have already won today. Now 6.5 back. Baltimore 2 games off the pace. And there are the Rays at 18.5 games out. The Red Sox having some road trips. 7-2 right now. Got tonight and tomorrow afternoon to play before finally getting back home to Fenway. Red Sox are the hottest team inside the division. The hottest team in the American League is the next club the Red Sox will face, the Kansas City Royals, who have won 9 consecutive games. Red Sox still have one West Coast trip to come. That's in September. This is going to be the longest one remaining, 7-2. And the pitching has been outstanding. The starters' ERA at 2.45, Jerry, on these first 9 games. That's been the big story.
It really has. It's all come together for the Red Sox starting pitchers recently. And when you get starting pitching like that, you've got a good chance to go on a streak like they are right now.
Here's the Red Sox lineup, which is brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Taking on Matt Andriese, the right-hander. It'll be Dustin Pedroia to lead things off. Xander Bogaerts at short. David Ortiz had another game-winning RBI last night. The DH, Mookie Betts in right. Jackie Bradley in center field. Sandy Leon does the catching. Brock Holt returning to the lineup. He's at third base. Travis Shaw at first. And Andrew Benintendi in left field and batting ninth. Up against Andriese, 6-5 with a 3.66 ERA. He actually opened the season at 6-0. It's been all downhill since then.
The Rays defense is brought to you by DraftKings, and they are 13th in the American League with 76 errors on the season. Evan Longoria will be at third base. Matt Duffy, the shortstop. Logan Forsythe at second, and Logan Morrison, the first baseman. Left to right, Corey Dickerson, Kevin Kiermaier, and Steven Souza Jr. And Bobby Wilson doing the catching for Andriese.
Tonight's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com, and it'll be Ryan Blakeney behind the plate, Chris Conroy at first, Paul Nart at second, and Ron Kulpa will umpire at third base. We're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota Certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Andriese 26 years old. He has lost 5 consecutive decisions, so the Red Sox may be seeing him at a very good time. He fell to Texas his last time out. He lasted only 5 1/3. Gave up 7 hits and 5 runs.
And last 3 starts have been very difficult for him. An 0-3 record in the last 3 with an 8.40 ERA. And those starts coming against New York, Texas, and Minnesota.
Red Sox have won 10 of their last 12 games, including 3 of those by 1 run, including last night. That was something that was not happening the first couple of months of the season. The Red Sox picking up those 1-run victories, but they're getting them now. John Farrell says a lot of that has to do with outstanding defense that Boston has been playing. First pitch of the night. And that'll be in there for strike 1. We're underway. 0-1 on Dustin Pedroia.
Andriese, one of those guys that throws across his body, as you can see on that first pitch. Stepping toward the third baseline and then delivering the pitch.
Pedroia trying to check his swing and does. Bogaerts on deck. Dustin 305 with a dozen home runs. And as the leadoff man since taking over that spot, he's hitting 364. Line shot, base hit. So Pedroia quickly on here in the top half of the first inning.
Well, Pedroia, like last night, he gets a fastball, this time a little bit lower than last night in his first at bat, and drives it again to the opposite field. That ball on the inside part of the plate, and Pedroia looked like he was going in that direction all along. That's a lot of times that's a pitch that he'll pull, but that time right on it for the opposite field base hit.
Bogaerts will be next. 310 with 15 homers. He's driven in 71 runs. He went 0 for 2 with a couple of walks yesterday in a Red Sox win. Pedroia darting off the bag that drew the attention of Andriese, but He gets back into first without a throw.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to time Andriese on the very first pitch. Pedroia now checking out the signs again from Brian Butterfield to make sure he's got him correct.
Yeah, now shaking his head like he's confirmed it. Something was a little bit off there. Red Sox last night beating Chris Archer for the 10th consecutive time, sending him to his 17th loss of the season, which is the most in the majors. First one to Xander, runner holding in there for a called strike. And later Archer said after the game, he said every night's not going to be a flawless outing.
Well, he was actually pretty good, I thought, in the game last night. One of the better performances he's had against the Red Sox in a long time.
Mid-90s fastball, always has the good slider.
Andriese, a guy that you can run against. That's maybe one of the reasons you saw Pedroia in that first pitch kind of fake towards second, because he has that, as we talked about, throw across his body, and he really takes him quite a long time to get the ball to home plate.
Very much a ground ball pitcher. Big hole on the right side, runner holding. 1-1. Xander belted his first home run in the month of August on Monday here, 2-run shot.
Red Sox will see the fastball, the slider, the cut fastball, and a changeup.
Just getting started here in game 3 of the 4-game series. Wilson, the catcher, setting up away. The runner goes, and it's knocked foul. Pedroia was in motion.
Now that might have been a hit-run play right there. Pedroia taking off at first base on a 1-1 count, and looked like Bogaerts was shooting in that direction. Let's see if Pedroia takes a peek back. He does, so that indicates to me that that was a hit-run play, and boy, a wide open hole between first and second. There's the look back to see if there's contact by Pedroia, so he knows where the baseball is if there is contact.
1-2 on Xander. Homered twice this season against Tampa Bay. Andriese with a 1-2, and he checked his swing on a diving breaking ball or a changeup.
Yeah, that's the changeup we were talking about. The Red Sox will see a lot of those tonight from Andriese. That went at 85 miles an hour.
That has always been the case with his Tampa Bay pitching staff, going back years and years. Seems like all of them have a changeup. Some pretty darn good ones. Here comes the 2-2. The catcher Wilson had to spear that with a backhand and saved Pedroia advancing 90 feet. 3-2. Andriese 1-0 against the Red Sox. His one start against them last June here. And he retired the first 11 batters he faced. He pitched very well.
See now Pedroia takes off on the 3-2 count.
Ortiz waiting on deck. And a big right-hander with the payoff pitch. Pedroia running, got a good jump, and that one fouled away down the right field line, out of play. And plenty of good seats still available here at the Trop.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you get time to fly down from Boston and get yourself a good seat before this one's even over.
Day game tomorrow. We may be a lonely crowd here for a 1 o'clock first pitch. Red Sox are going to be back here in 1 month for the final series with the Rays at Tropicana. 3-2 Pedroia running again. Swung on and missed. Here's the throw, the tag, and he's going to be safe. Forsythe went for the tag on the back and did not get him, so Pedroia has the stolen base as Xander Bogaerts punches out.
A couple of things, you know, when you get a 3-2 count and Cash wants to right away take a look and see if they have Pedroia at second base. But on a 3-2 count as a base runner, you don't get the same kind of jump because, you know, you don't want to be picked off first base. He had the advantage that time of having the changeup. And it looks like the hand did get in there before the tag. It's a nice little adjustment by Pedroia too, as he sees where the player is, He's on the second base side, so he dives to the shortstop side at second base.
We're still waiting to see if they plan to challenge this, and they haven't made up their minds yet. Here it comes. And they will. So they want to challenge right away. So this play is under review. The stolen base of Dustin Pedroia. Paul Nart said he got in there, but it's off to New York. We'll take a close look.
Now the replays that we have seen so far, it looked like the hand got in before the tag. Take another look. A different angle. The sweep of the tag. I think he got his left hand in because contact is made right there. I think that left hand got in by Pedroia. Watch the left hand come around and grab the bag. No tag yet, no tag yet. Well, the left hand didn't come around. It was the right hand, so this is closer than I thought.
Each manager gets one challenge. If he wins, he gets a second one. If not, his challenge is gone. So this is risky in the top of the first inning for Cash. So he must feel like he has a good argument on this particular play, and it would go his way. Otherwise, he loses his challenge for the rest of the night.
See, originally I thought it was the left hand that got around the tag of Logan Forsythe at second base, but it looks like it's just the opposite. It's the right hand that got in by Pedroia, and then the question is, did the tag come before the right hand got in there?
Of course, later in the game, he can appeal to the crew chief and ask him to review something. It's up to him to determine that, whether he will do it. He can say no. But they're taking a look in New York. And already, I think this has taken too long, this particular play. The game is just getting underway, and it has come to a crashing halt. And I realize Cash has a right, and that's a run out there potentially at second base for the Red Sox. But I'd love to see a clock on this. Looked like the glove was hovering over Pedroia's back there until Petey got to the base. But
yeah, I think that's the best angle we have.
Now they have a decision. Here's the answer, and he is safe. So the challenge is gone for the night for Cash. I don't think they had enough evidence to overrule that.
That was very difficult. We had many angles ourselves, and it was very tough to pick up.
The Red Sox with a runner at second base and one down. Bogarts did swing and miss on the pitch downstairs. And brings up David Ortiz. It took 2 minutes and 27 seconds to determine that. Poppy 321, 29 homers, 98 driven in. And he tags this one deep to right field. Racing back Souza. Leaping. Gone! Number 30 for David Ortiz, and the Red Sox take a 2-0 lead. Nice way to extend your hitting streak to 11 in a row.
David Ortiz always says he wants to put up 30, drive in 100. He just did that. Number 30 on the season, RBIs, number 99 and 100. And he got a breaking ball on the first pitch from Andrees.
That is the 34th time he's homered in this ballpark, more than any other opponent. The Red Sox on top quickly, 2-0. Here's Mookie Betts. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Red Sox home run this season, Speedway will donate to Boston Children's Hospital. And in August, get 10 cents off per gallon of gas at Speedway when you make a qualifying $3 merchandise purchase. The oldest player in Major League history. We've been saying that a lot about Big Papi. 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Still plenty of time left to add to those numbers in August. And his magical farewell continues. Mookie hitting .313, 28 homers. And he tags that one to the hole. The shortstop Duffy off balance and not going to get him. That's going to be a base hit.
Yep, no chance. And when you see a ball go that far to the right of a shortstop with Mookie Betts running down the line, he has absolutely no chance to get him at first base. It was actually a very nice play by Duffy just to get to him. But then when he makes the throw, you can see Mookie Betts clearly had that beat down the line. See if the Red Sox keep up their running ways against Andriese with Betts at first base. Betts with 20 steals on the season.
Jackie Bradley at the plate.
Last look at the hit. You can see how far the shortstop Duffy has to go. The backhand, and from that point there, tries to bounce at the first base, but Betts with the base hit.
Jackie 0 for 3 last night. 5 of his last 7 hits have gone for extra bases. The All-Star with 21 homers. Well, the Red Sox faced Andriese the one time they did. He retired the first 11 batters that he faced, and he had 5 1-2-3 innings. The Red Sox are charging him here early. 3 hits in the first inning. And David Ortiz taking him out. The 0-1. Right on the corner for a called strike. Now the Red Sox continue to play so well. 28-17 since the 3rd of July. Only the Cubs and the Blue Jays have been better in the majors. Red Sox playing 23 games in 23 days, and so far on that stretch they've gone 11-4.
Take another look at the David Ortiz home run. First pitch breaking ball. You can see the catcher set up away. It's almost like they wanted to throw a breaking ball off the outside edge. Instead, it stays over the plate, and Ortiz loses it.
Time is granted Jackie Bradley. Sandy Leon on deck. Andriese coming in with respectable numbers at .366 earned run average, but really scuffling lately. Big cut and a miss. Throw back to first base, not in time to get Mookie Betts as Jackie Bradley strikes out. So 2 down.
Gets him on a fastball that's down and in that time to Jackie Bradley. A lot of times they work him upstairs with fastballs. This time it's down in the zone, but inside part of the plate. The pickoff attempt at first, not in time to get Betts. Now Mookie should be looking to run here with 2 outs, trying to get in scoring position for Sandy Leon.
Sandy, a bad lefty, 0 for 3 last night. A rare hitless night for him. 2 down and a man on. And Brock Holt, to his return to the lineup, would hit next. Been a tough season physically for Brock, but back in there tonight. He's at third base. That finds the mark for a called strike. 92 at the bottom of the zone.
Back-to-back good fastballs. One the strikeout to Jackie Bradley Jr. A fastball down and in. That fastball down in the zone to Sandy Leon.
Andriese rejoined the rotation after Tampa Bay traded Matt Moore at the deadline, and they have lost all 4 of his starts since then, as that one is Luke File out of play. Made his major league debut last year as a part-time starter. He was dealt to Tampa Bay from San Diego 2 years ago. Twenty-six years old.
Yeah, that, by the way, Dave, was the 8th home run he's allowed in August.
Big Poppy with number 30. Here comes the 0-2. Down the left field line and out of play. Red Sox have 1 more left with Tampa Bay here tomorrow afternoon at 1:10. Drew Pomeranz against Jake Odorizzi. And back home for a 6-game homestand Kansas City and Tampa Bay again. Red Sox in these last 37 games are going to see a lot of the Rays. Betts getting his lead in the 0-2 pitch. Sandy trying to reach base for the 15th consecutive game. Not a hit in every one of those, but he's find a way to get on base. And the 1-2 from Andrews. He chased that one down to the dirt, strike 3. The Red Sox get off to a nice start as David Ortiz goes yard, his 30th home run, now 100 runs batted in. 2-0 Boston. New England Chevy dealers. Logan Forsythe starts it, then Kiermaier, Longoria, and Miller. Duffy the shortstop, Morrison at first, Souza in right field, followed by Dickerson and Wilson. Red Sox in front 2-0 and continue to score runs for this man, Rick Porcello, the starting pitcher, presented by New England Audi dealers. Typically, he takes care of the rest. He's just been dazzling. Starting for the 26th time, he's put himself in the Cy Young conversation. Forsythe 280 with 16 home runs, so they get power out of the leadoff spot. Porcello has just owned Tampa Bay this season, 3-0 at .225 earned run average. And then there's that nasty cap of his.
The lucky cap.
Unless you're close to it. Flare to center field, and Jackie Bradley right there toward the gap to make the catch.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They're 6th in the American League, 65 errors on the season. Brock Holt will be at third base, Xander Bogaerts the shortstop, Dustin Pedroia at second, and Travis Shaw the first baseman. Left to right, Andrew Benintendi, Jackie Bradley Jr. and Mookie Betts, and Sandy Leone doing the catching for Porcello.
A closer look, although I'm not sure why, on that lid, but he continues to wear it and he continues to do nothing but win in it. Kiermaier 227 with 7 homers. 2 for 4. He doubled twice last night. It's a charge into that one, but it hangs up there for Jackie Bradley. 2 catches for him, 2 down. This greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Red Sox starting pitchers to win at least 17 of their first 20 in a season since 1946. Remember, Daisuke Matsuzaka got off to a very great start in 2008. I thought he was really well managed that year. I think he only averaged about 5 2/3 per start.
And it seemed like every time he started an inning was with the bases loaded.
Yes. A lot of wins, though. Here's Longoria taking a strike, hitting .288, 29 homers, 78 driven in. A lot of at-bats against Porcello. He's 9 for 36. It is a light hitting lineup for these Rays. 5 men in tonight's lineup are hitting .240 or lower. By comparison, the Red Sox have 6 men hitting .305 or higher.
And we talked about it in the first couple of games of this series. If you keep them in the ballpark, you've got a good chance. They are 4th in the American League in home runs. Last in batting average.
Kevin Cash in his 2nd year. He was a great cribbage partner of one Terry Francona. You didn't want to get in the middle of any of those games if they were going at it. That one sucked into left field. Benintendi on the move toward the gap. Reaches up. He's got it. It's a fast inning for Porcello as he gets him 1, 2, 3. Red Sox in front here at Tampa Bay 2-0. Brock Holt will lead off the 2nd inning against Andriese. Showing a bunt, looking at a strike. Brock back in the lineup after missing 4 games with an oblique strain that he suffered, he said, while he was running. He's also at times had some lingering dizziness as a result of that concussion. High chop on the infield. Andriese has to wait for it to come down. The throw is just in time to get him. So 1 man away for the Red Sox in the 2nd inning. 2016 Silver Oak Jumper Tournament debuts tomorrow at 7. It's one of the top-rated horse jumping shows in the country. That's in Halifax, Massachusetts. Catch all the highlights tomorrow at 7 right here on NESN. 1 away for the slumping Travis Shaw, hitting .248 with 14 home runs. And his playing time has been dwindling as of late. Andy Ramirez has the night off.
The Red Sox plan to give Hanley obviously tonight off, but tomorrow they're going to DH Hanley, and David Ortiz will have the day game off.
David already slamming a 2-run homer in this one. If you're just joining us, the Sox in front 2-0. And a 1-1 from the righty. Missed the corner. Red Sox tonight hopeful of getting into first place all by themselves. Right now they're tied with the Toronto Blue Jays, who meet the Angels again. And the 2-1 popped up off the fists. Here comes Longoria with some room to make the play. Near the stands, and there are 2 down.
A very nice play by Evan Longoria, well aware of the way the seats jet out toward third base. He takes a peek and he sees exactly how much room he's got and in what direction he's going in, and avoids running into the stands. So a little extra foul territory as you head toward that Red Sox dugout.
Now Benintendi, who's hitting .323, a homer and 10 runs batted in. And .354 against right-handers. And very impressive how this young man has fit into the Red Sox clubhouse seamlessly. He was instantly well liked. And a lot more after that catch. Made a lot of friends on the pitching staff after that play.
Yeah, you make plays like that for pitchers, they love you.
And Mookie Betts with a sensational throw from right field in last night's Red Sox win. So there's a little bit of pressure on Jackie Bradley tonight and tomorrow to do something.
I'm sure he's up to it. I'm sure he's up to the task.
I think he is.
All he needs is the opportunity.
He's already acquitted himself pretty well there. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I wanted to shift on Benintendi with the count going to 2 strikes. Duffy over to the second base side.
Andrew had 2 hits last night. He's 2 for 3. He's played in 20 major league games, and in 8 of them he's had 2 hits or more. And the 2-2. Waved down and missed, and the Red Sox go quietly. They go 1-2-3 in the second. Bottom of the second coming up. Red Sox in the lead 2-0. As Miller cuts and misses. He's their DH tonight. .262 with 25 home runs. He is one Ray having a real good offensive year, certainly in terms of power. 3 out of 11 against Porcello with 3 home runs.
And Porcello throwing 2 fastballs right by him to get him down 0-2. Now Brock Holt goes into the shift.
And the 0-2 pitch from Porcello. He got him. Well, 3 pitches. Good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Yeah, that was the two-seam fastball from Porcello. Starts it inside, has a little bit of movement on it, and comes back to the inside corner. It's a pitch a left-handed hitter will give up on, but clearly a strike.
First strikeout in the book for Porcello. He's now 27 years old. And Matt Duffy, the batter now, the shortstop, 262. He's homered 4 times. Well, the Angels are helping out the Red Sox tonight. They got off to a quick start against Toronto. They lead in the second inning 5-0 over the Blue Jays. Keep an eye on that score. Another strike. Rick Porcello just does not allow many base runners, does he? 165 innings, only 144 hits, and a mere 28 walks.
Yeah, that's the amazing number. 28 walks on the season. I mean, he's always around the plate, on the corners. Doesn't hurt himself by walking people. A lot of time when he gets ahead in the count like this, 1 ball and 2 strikes, he likes to go upstairs with the fastball.
With that 4-seamer. 1-2. Porcello has already set a new career high for wins. Previously it was 15 with the Tigers in 2014. Now he's gone to 3-2 on Duffy. And the 3-2 coming. Toward the hole. Bogart scoops it, but no play for him. And the first base runner of the night is Matt Duffy against Porcello. Time now for the Geico Red Sox moment, honoring the '86 Red Sox season. Game number 126. The Red Sox would beat the Rangers 8-1. Oil Can Boyd got the complete game victory. Dwight Evans hit a 2-run shot for Boston. That throw last night from right field by Mookie Betts, that had some Dewey Evans to it.
That's what I thought. And, you know, it's funny. I asked Jim Rice in the post-game show, and he said no.
Like, just no. Forget about it. Don't compare anybody to Dwight Evans. Not his guy. That arm was unbelievable. Swinging a deep drive to left center field. Bradley, long run. It's sailing, and it's off that wall. Duffy heading into third base. They'll stop him there as the throw is cut off by Bogarts. And it'll be 2 bases for Morrison as he hit the daylights out. Deepest part of the ballpark, and he almost got it out of here.
Yeah, well, you know, he's facing a guy that he's had success against. 375 coming into the game, but he had been 0 for 15. That time he takes the fastball that's away, and he takes it very deep, the deepest part of the ballpark. And Duffy was not really running hard, and that's why the third base coach had to stop him. I mean, that's really kind of inexcusable right there, because you know there's going to be no play by the center fielder, and he should be hustling and running hard all the way around. Then the third base coach has a chance to score you.
So they wind up second and third with 1 down for Steven Souza. 240 with 13 home runs. And he's had some success against Rick too. He's 6 out of 18 off him as he fouls one away. We've talked about the low number of base runners, the incredible low number of walks issued by Porcello as reasons for his success. But quite frankly, it's getting out of spots like this that have defined his season. And he doesn't allow the big inning.
Yeah, being able to minimize the damage, that's the key. I mean, all pitchers are going to get in trouble. It's how they can get out of that with just a minimum amount of damage.
You got a guy at the plate who strikes out frequently. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He has whiffed 135 times. Duffy at third base, Morrison at second. Red Sox ahead 2-0. But Porcello in a bit of a pinch, and a 1-2. And he got him. There's that high fastball you were talking about.
Yeah, it's exactly what he tries to do, especially guys that strike out a lot. They have a tendency to chase high fastballs with 2 strikes, and Porcello knows that. And you know, he's like 2 different pitches. When he starts off a batter, it's almost like, I want early contact, I want a ground ball. But then when he needs a strikeout and he gets ahead, he elevates that fastball to get strikeouts.
Well, a chance to get out of this without a run being scored if he can get Dickerson right here. 231 hitter, but 17 home runs. And all 17 of his homers have come against right-hand pitchers. Inside for ball 1.
We mentioned in the last outing that Porcello worked, he would change where he comes set. Sometimes he would hold the ball a long time. Sometimes he would almost quick pitch the hitter. Not an illegal pitch, but he would quicken his glove up a little bit, just to try to throw him off balance.
Here's the 1-0. He drills it in there at 93. Rick coming off another strong performance. This one against his old team, his first start in Detroit as a member of the Red Sox. Last Friday he went 7. He allowed just 4 hits. He struck out 8 and gave up just 1 run. 1-1 to Dickerson. Right past him.
See, that time there he held the ball up in that position for quite some time. A little different look. Made the hitter wait. You see him come up with the glove and just kind of hold it there for a long time. Now the pitches previous to that, he was just getting set and going.
So he is on the verge of getting out of the inning without a run when they had runners at second and third and 1 man away. And the 1-2 pitch to the number 8 hitter. He got a piece of it.
There he goes again. He tries that elevated fastball, that time at 94 miles an hour, but Dickerson able to foul it off. Upstairs they want to go again to get the strikeout.
Two down, 2 on, and the 1-2 to Corey Dickerson. Lunging, and he loops a foul back out of play.
That's a good job by Dickerson there. That was a changeup, and it was well off the outside part of the plate, but still makes contact to see another pitch. There's the changeup for Porcello. It's going to be way outside. We can see Dickerson reaching across the plate and just able to foul it off.
Porcello says yes, and now the 1-2 again. Ground ball right to the first baseman. Shaw has it, and Porcello does it again. And that has defined his season to get out of jams like that. Still 2-0. Red Sox 2 and Tampa Bay nothing. Top half of the third inning inside the Trop, and it'll be Pedroia to lead things off. He's 1 for 1 tonight with a single and a stolen base. He was aboard when David Ortiz ripped his 30th home run into the right field seats, and now has exactly 100 RBIs. Xander Bogaerts next, and then Big Papi again against Andriese. David last year driving in 108. Strike on Pedroia. And the year before 104, the year before that 2013 103. So looking like he's going to blow right past those numbers very quickly.
Now Pedroia can sit on the fastball, 3 balls and 1 strike. It's been a lot of breaking balls to him in this at bat, with the exception of 1 strike.
And a good count, the 3-1. And he takes ball 4. Leadoff man is on.
You know, the Rays have made a lot of mistakes in this series, mental mistakes against the Red Sox, and Duffy's the latest. In the last inning, this ball that was crushed by Morrison. Now watch him go to second base. He's just going slow. There's no way Jackie Bradley's going to catch up to that. And then by the time he picks it up, it's too late for the third base coach to wave him home. If he's going hard all the way and he makes the proper read, which he should have on that play, it's a 2-1 ball game.
So is it lack of hustle or is it a bad read?
I think it's just a bad read that he made right there. I mean, you could tell on contact there's no way Jackie was going to catch up to that ball.
Xander Bogaerts is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Red Sox leading 2-0.
Those are little things, Dave, that, you know, cost you ball games. I mean, it could be a 2-1 game right now. Instead, Porcello gets out of his second and third jam.
I think about Souza with that awful throw from right field last night with David Ortiz running, cost him a run. I think about Kiermaier in the 8th inning when he was cut down by Mookie Betts. Now, an incredible throw by Mookie. 1-0 in there for a called strike, but I thought Mookie with that throw must have anticipated that Kiermaier was going to third base.
You know, I thought just the opposite. I thought he was surprised that he was going to third base, but he was probably getting himself in the proper position to make a throw.
What a throw it was. Kiermaier talked about it after the game. You know, pushing the envelope like that. I pop on the infield. This will be a week out. And Longoria with the catch. Xander Bogaerts is 0 for 2 tonight. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. And Big Papi coming up again. David with a 2-run homer in the first. Last night he had his 13th game-winning RBI of the season. For a second come in the second inning. He's had plenty of big ones late. One man out, Pedroia at first. And a strike.
You know, I guarantee if you ask Ortiz after the game if he was looking for a breaking ball, I'll bet you he says yes, because first base was open and he knew he was not going to get a fastball that was going to be a strike.
10 times in his incredible career he has reached 100 RBIs. There was a lot of conversation last night about David's interference in the 8th inning. On that follow through on the swing, he caught the catcher with the bat, but Ron Kolpa got that right. And he got it right immediately. High fly ball as that one is golfed into right center field. Kiermaier struggling a bit with it. He'll make the catch. And Pedroia back to first base. Stumbled a little bit, but the Gold Glover hauled it in for the out. Now the rule is 6015, and it says any batter or runner who has just been put out, if he impedes any following play being made on a runner, such runner shall be declared out for the interference of his teammate. It was Bogarts running, and the catcher could not get off the throw because of the interference on the backswing and the contact there. So even though Culpa and Big Papi have a colorful history from earlier this season, the umpire did get it right.
It's one of those where, you know, we kind of thought it was correct right out of the chute, and but you got to go back to the rule book and really take a hard look at it. The rules are so confusing, and I agree with you, Dave. I thought he had it right last night, and there's no question that he had it right after reading the rule.
You really have to get down in the weeds with some of those rules, because some of them are so specific to game situations. Betts with an infield single his first time up. Runner goes. Here's the throw. He's safe again. Second time for Dustin Pedroia. 2 stolen bases here in the early going tonight.
Now, we told you at the beginning of the game that Andres is a stolen base waiting to happen. And this is a good time to run, and I'll tell you why. First of all, he's safe, so he's in scoring position for Mookie Betts. If the worst thing happens and he gets thrown out, you got Betts leading off next inning, and he's been a leadoff hitter. So, I mean, a good move right there to get a man in a scoring position for the Red Sox.
Now Pedroia feeling pretty good and running the bases. The 1-1 is down and in. Now Mookie scores a run tonight. It'll be his 100th run of the season. He's leading the American League in that category. Also second in hits. He has 164 hits. Through the hole for a base hit. Pedroia rounding third. Souza's throw coming on in. Won't get him. Betts trying to get back now. He's got a rundown between first and second. He'll be put out on the bases, but the run comes in to score. Mookie Betts driving in his 90th run of 2016, and the Red Sox lead it 3-0. Red Sox win. Plain Ridge Park Casino donates $777 to the Relay for Life of Greater Attleboro. Bottom of the third getting started. Red Sox ahead 3-0. They continue to score runs for Rick Porcello. Red Sox 19-6 when he starts. Personally, he's won 11 of the last 12 with an ERA of 2.62. That sounds like the stuff of an ace. Right now tied with Jay Happ at Toronto for the major league lead in victories. That'll be up the middle for a base hit. Wilson, the catcher, on to begin the third inning.
You know, a lot of people think that Betts made a bad base running play on that base hit to score Pedroia, but he did not, and I'll tell you why. The ball was hit, and it was hit on the ground with a very good charge put on by Suzu, who has a very good throwing arm. So Mookie thought this ball was going to be cut off. And if it's cut off, he wants to be cutting a run down to be able to get the run home. And that's exactly why he did that. So, you know, it looks like a bad base running play, but it's not. If you think the play is going to be close at home plate, you go towards second base. You hope that it's cut off by the runner because you want the run to score. And if you're tagged out, so be it.
And the run came in to score. Pedroia, remember, stole another base. So he came in on the single. Red Sox continue to play really exceptional baseball, top to bottom. And you got to beat the teams on your schedule. The Red Sox did that early in the trip, and they're doing it late in the trip. Early in the trip, they were doing it against playoff contenders like Cleveland and Baltimore and Detroit. They've had a helping hand now and again in this series, certainly from Tampa Bay.
You know, you got to give another thing on that play is the fact that I believe Butterfield was originally holding up Dustin Pedroia at third base, and Pedroia went right by the holdup by Butterfield. So everybody thought that was going to be a close play. That's why Betts was trying to get caught in that rundown.
Forsythe batting with a runner at first base, nobody out. He's 0 for 1 with a fly to center. And a 1-2. Tried to hold up, I think, halfway through, but then it was too late. Down he goes on strikes.
A little half swing that time on a fastball that surprised him. That was a little bit up and in.
Arbella Insurance Foundation is the proud presenting sponsor of the WEEI Ness and Jimmy Fund Radio Telethon, dedicated to striking out cancer in kids. Arbella donates $50 for every strikeout by a Red Sox pitcher, up to $100,000. Arbella Insurance Foundation, here for the Jimmy Fund, here for good. Kiermaier now 0 for 1 with a fly to center. We were talking about this earlier, and after Mookie Betts cut him down in the 8th inning last night, 2-1 game with Longoria at the plate after him. He said, "I'm just kind of in shock how I got thrown out. I watched the video after the game, and Mookie Betts made an absolutely perfect throw. That is hit sharply but foul." He said, "I always want to put pressure on the defense. I would not change a thing."
Well, I don't blame him, because when you hit a ball down in this area, and look how far Betts has to go, and watch him surround that baseball again, it's a good throwing position. And it even seemed to me, I don't know, but I just seemed to me that Mookie was not expecting him to go to third base. He got himself in the proper throwing position. When he looked up and he saw him going, he was ready to fire.
It surprised me, his arm strength. I mean, I know we've talked about him as a second baseman who moved to the outfield. I did not realize until that moment how strong his arm has become. And you made a great point during the telecast last night. He was practicing those throws before the game. That line shot will drop in. Kiermaier is on, and Wilson up to second base. So for the second straight inning, they have 2 hits against Porcello.
Well, you know what he was doing today, Mookie Betts? He was not taking throws from the outfield. He was taking it from shortstop. He was taking ground balls from Brian Butterfield. This was about 2:30 this afternoon, and making throws from deep shortstop to first base. He honestly believes the more he throws, the stronger his arm's going to get and the better it feels.
Evidence to support that last night. Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Red Sox outfield at the top of the defensive rankings in the majors. No surprise after this series. Here's Longoria now. He is lined to left, 0 for 1. And just 1 for 9 in the series. The Red Sox have tied him up for the most part. But he has runners at first and second and 1 down. Red Sox ahead 3-0. Trying to knock one out of here in the count 1-1.
And went after his slider that time. It was not a strike, down and out of the strike zone. A little surprising to see Longoria chase that pitch this early in the count.
He is hitting .350 this season with runners in scoring position. He's having a very nice year for a last place club. The 1-1. In fact, Longoria is on a pace to hit a career high 38 home runs. That would tie Aubrey Huff's franchise record if he did that. The 2-1. Now all even on him. Certainly is a double play candidate. Brad Miller on deck. Hits are even at 4 in this one.
He also now becomes a strikeout candidate. He has struck out 111 times on the season.
We'll see if Porcello goes up that ladder with him to get him. Here's the 2-2. He got him 94 on the corner anyway, so probably would have been a called strike, but a swing and a miss.
Yeah, same thing. Climbing the ladder, going to the upstairs on the outside part of the plate to get the swing and miss.
So 4 strikeouts for Porcello. You got this guy the first time, Brad Miller. Hey, Nesson is once again looking for the best backyard ballpark in New England. If you think your backyard is in a league of its own, you can do it right now. Upload a short video of yours to NESSN.com/ballparks. Jerry and I will team up and pick a winner. If you win, Jerry is going to host a private party for you and your family in your backyard. This contest presented in part by Lighthouse Construction.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the time's running out on that. I think Friday's the deadline to get your videos in.
So if you want to participate, get moving. We had a great time last year with the winners in Rye, New Hampshire. In a lovely spot. That's a strike. Nothing in 2. Oh, and 2 on Miller. Once again, Porcello trying to get out of a bit of a jam. Fouled back by Miller on a mighty swing.
There he goes again, elevating in the strike zone that time, trying to get the strikeout. 2-seam fastball will stay down. The cross seamer, he elevates. And almost did pick it up right there, but just underneath it was Miller.
Miller's hit 25 homers, 19 here at Tropicana. And the 0-2. Matt Duffy on deck. Red Sox leading 3-0. And trying to improve to 8-2 on the road trip with a win here tonight. It has been some odyssey, this road trip. You're hearing a lot from the Red Sox clubhouse and from John Farrell. This has been a bonding trip. There's already a tight-knit Red Sox team coming onto this road swing of 11 games. Here's the 2-2. He bounced it up there, stopped by Sandy Leon.
He tried 3 high fastballs, couldn't quite put him away, so he figured he'd try the changeup, and Leon makes a nice play. He keeps 2 men out of scoring position. There's the changeup. Leon going over and actually catching the ball.
So Wilson will get a head start at second base and Kiermaier at first with a full count, 2 down. Runners go. That's hit sharply. That's fair down the line. That's going to be off into the bullpen area. Wilson's in to score. Kiermaier right behind him and into second base with a 2-run double. Miller as he jumped on that pitch to make it a 1-run game. So Porcello could not get out of it in this inning.
This time it's a fastball, but it's not upstairs. It's down in the strike zone. Just out over the plate, as you can see, and he's able to get on top of that pitch and hook it right down the first base line by Shaw. I think if Shaw had to do that all over again, he'd probably dive for that ball and try to knock it down and save 1 run. And Shaw trying to react and make the play standing up. I think if you dive for that ball, you may get some leather on it, slow it up, knock it down, and you save a run in that situation.
24 doubles for Miller, who continues to have a good season, kind of under the radar. And up top for a ball here on Duffy, who singled his first time. He's 1 for 1. If he does it again here, he could tie the game. 3-2 Boston. That was their 3rd hit in this inning. And they have 5 hits in the last 2 innings against Rick Porcello.
Yeah, right now Porcello's having a little bit of difficulty with his curveball. Not getting it over for strikes.
In the 4th, the Red Sox will have Duop, Bradley, Leon, and Holtz. And a 2-0. A little dribbler, but a foul to make it 2-1. Tomorrow afternoon, 1:10, the last game of this road trip. Drew Pomerantz against Jake Odorizzi at 1:10. And the Sox will head back home at last to take on the red-hot Kansas City Royals, who have won 9 in a row. On Friday night, first of 3 with Kansas City, the reigning world champs, and then Tampa Bay in for 3. Tried the corner, but he missed there at 90 and a count 3-1. By his standards this season, it's been a long inning for Porcello. Three-one pitch. Strike.
A little bit of a gift that time for Porcello, just barely picking up the inside corner on that cut fastball. Ball was supposed to be away. It stayed inside. Beautiful job there with the presentation by Leon.
As opposed to framing. A 3-2. And he struck him out. He dotted that one, but he does give up a couple. Now 3-2 game. He is here with the Red Sox, of course, missing the season because of Tommy John surgery. What a lift he would have given.
Yeah, 2 guys showing up today, Carson Smith and Pablo Sandoval.
Pablo looks good, and he was taking some ground balls on Monday, he said. He's well ahead of schedule. Coming back from his surgery, Jackie Bradley struck out first inning. He rolls that one foul. The All-Star, of course, with the 29-game hitting streak early in the season, the longest in the majors. in 2016. Red Sox season ticket holders, you can experience the best seats, price, and benefits Fenway has to offer. Go to redsox.com/season tickets or call 877 Red Sox 9 today. That includes potential postseason opportunities. Leone on deck, and then Brock Holt. Well, this one is tightened up now. 3-2 Sox in the fourth. Jackie, 21 homers. He's driven in 72. And he lays off a high one. One ball and 2 strikes on Jackie. And Reese fires. It's foul tip and held for strikeout number 3. And let's toss it down to Garrett Austin.
Thanks, OB. The Ted Williams Hitters Hall of Fame Museum is located here inside Tropicana Field. And yesterday they honored David Ortiz by presenting him with a Ted Williams bat and unveiling a display honoring Papi and all of his accomplishments. Ortiz now has 10 100 RBI seasons with Boston, passing Ted Williams for most in franchise history. Guys.
A nice moment for Big Papi, and a real nice one tonight with a 2-run homer in the first inning. Seems every time we turn around, we mention another milestone for David. Ted Williams is attached to it in some form. RBIs, home runs. Down and in a ball on Sandy, who struck out first inning. He still had a nice trip. He's hitting over 300 on the trip with 5 RBIs. He's hit 2 home runs. So he has really helped out with the bat. The 2-0. Foul tip to the mid.
Little trick there by the catcher. He was telling the pitcher to shake off the sign. It's a 2-0 count, so the hitter's expecting a fastball, but by telling the pitcher to shake off, that means he's expecting something else. He does it again. So he's trying to get in the head of Sandy Leone. Both times after the shake off, he throws in the fastball. That's something obviously Leone can't see, but he can see the pitcher shaking off the catcher.
And the 2-2 from the righty. Poke toward third along the bag. Longoria with a long throw, and he gets him. 2 up and 2 down. In honor of Big Papi's final season, we look back to September 12 last season when he hit number 500, becoming the 27th player to do it. The New England Honda dealers would like to say thank you, Papi. We salute your passion, your spirit, and your drive to be a champion. David 1 for 2 with the homer tonight. Now comes Brock Holt to his 0 for 1. He has grounded back to the pitcher. Red Sox ahead 3-2. That one past the mound. Shortstop Duffy slings it, and he gets it. And that retires the side as the Red Sox go in order. It is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. To the bottom of the fourth inning, Red Sox have a 1-run lead against the Rays. 3-2. Dave O'Brien, Jerry Remy with it. Rick Porcello not too happy with his stuff last inning when he allowed 3 hits. He's coughed up 5 hits so far tonight. So a little bit off. And while he was warming up moments ago, he's getting in his warm-up tosses. He was not pleased then either.
Yeah, throwing his curveball. So what does he do? He starts the inning off with his curveball and gets a strike.
On Logan Morrison, who doubled off him in the second inning, although nothing came of that. He got out of that second and third jam. That was Morrison's first hit in his last 16 at bats, so he's been skidding.
Back to the curveball again. Back-to-back breaking balls and both for strikes. Now they go into the shift for 2 strikes.
And a slender right-hander from New Jersey with the 0-2. Up top of the fastball. So far tonight, 4 strikeouts. He hasn't walked anybody, which is no surprise. The overshift on for Morrison, who's their first baseman tonight. The 1-2. Line into center field. That'll drop down for a base hit. And Morrison, who had been slumping, is 2 for 2.
And continues to do a good job against Porcello, though we mentioned 375 coming into the game, a double, now the single coming on the curveball.
Don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC, Jim Rice, and Steve Lyons will break it all down. You'll hear from Rick Porcello and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason. Porcello with 5 strikeouts in the book tonight, but has been unable to get Morrison, who has 2 hits, and that sends up Souza, who whiffed in the second. And was 0 for 4 with 3 Ks last night. He's really an all or nothing guy. He's also 0 for 8 in the series. And the 1-0.
That's a good 2-seam fastball that he throws down and inside to right-handed hitters. A disappearing fastball.
Red Sox starting pitching here in the month of August has really been superb at 2.69 staff ERA. That's the 3rd lowest in the majors behind the Cubs and Kansas City. Royals, of course, won 9 in a row. They're going to visit Fenway on Friday. In game 1 of a 3-game series. They've really turned their season around with that winning streak. Throw down to first base, not in time to get Morrison, who tiptoes back in. And it's 2-2. Red Sox have another trip looming. They don't want to hear about it right now, but coming up at the top of September. And a 2-2 in there to get him. He strikes out looking.
Once again, that 2-seam fastball to pick up the strikeout. Second time he's got Souza on the fastball tonight. Starts out outside, comes back just a little bit to the corner, and Souza upset with himself. I don't think with the umpire, upset with himself. He really set him up that time. He threw him a couple of those 2-seamers inside, then goes outside with one.
Number 6 for Porcello. Dickerson next, 0 for 1. He has tapped to first base. Red Sox ahead here 3-2, even though they've been out hit 6-4.
That's a pitch right there, too. The changeup that hasn't been all that effective for him tonight. So 2 pitches, the curveball and changeup, to this point of the game has not been a big help for Porcello. Try another changeup.
Dickerson has pretty good power with the 17 homers, and that one will get the strike zone, according to Ryan Blakeney. Dickerson has 85 hits, 43 have gone for extra bases, and the only other American League player with a higher ratio is David Ortiz. Higher ratio of extra base hits. David's added to that tonight with a 2-run blast. That one's fouled back out of play. This summer you can pump up the fun with Irving Oil's $5 million giveaway. There are 3 ways to play. You can drive away with a Ford Escape, $5,000 in cash, or the grand prize of $100,000. Get your game ticket at Irving Oil today. 3-2 Red Sox here in the bottom of the 4th inning. A base runner in Morrison at first. Porcello has yet to get a double play ball. This time a fly into left. And Intendi in on it. And there are 2 down. It's really been immensely disappointing that, the last couple of nights, Benintendi hasn't got climbing over the wall.
Yeah, it's very boring.
He hasn't made a spectacular catch where he heaves himself 10 feet in the air or dives 40 feet.
Well, you need cooperation from the pitcher, too. You have to have balls hit, obviously, that you can make these kind of plays. Personally, I'd like to minimize those type of plays.
That's right. The pitching staff would agree.
Yeah, make outs a little bit easier than that.
But the outfield play has been sensational in this series. Very exciting to think for Red Sox fans, those 3 guys could be out there for many years to come. Hot shot, a dive and a miss by Holt. That one down the line. Morrison's on his way to third. Benintendi up and gunning to the cutoff man. Into second base, Wilson. He's got a double. And Porcello is in trouble again with 2 down, runners at second and third.
Yeah, pretty good job by Benintendi, too, down in left field, being very cautious. Now, he knows there's a man at first base, so he doesn't want to bobble the ball. He doesn't want it to get by him. Watch how he plays the ball out here very cautiously, takes that bounce and makes sure he gets it back in quickly. They have no choice but to hold the runner at third base. Brock Holt going into the dive. He can't make the play. Now it's going to bounce off that wall, and Benintendi gives himself plenty of room. Doesn't get in too tight so the ball can get by him.
However, that is 3 consecutive innings that Porcello has surrendered at least 2 hits. And again, it's runners at second and third, and Forsythe, the batter, he has flied to center and struck out. He came into the ball game, he had a 300 hitter against Porcello, 6 for 20. So he gets a decent look at the Red Sox right-hander. Boston ahead 3-2. And a 1-strike pitch. Red Sox have won 5 in a row against Tampa Bay. It's their longest winning streak against the Rays since 2008. And 7-4 against them on the year. Here's the 1-1. Skipped up there.
Nice play by Sandy Leon, backhanding that ball that time and saving a run. Fastball, a very difficult pitch to block or catch when it's down in that area. You know, we talk about breaking balls, curveball, changeups. They're expecting it low, but not the fastball.
The 2-1 to Forsythe. 75 miles an hour. He drops it in.
There's the curveball again. He's thrown more of them this inning.
Well, he is pitching himself into trouble. Second inning, he got out of it. Not the case in the third. Now in the fourth, the 2-2. Ground ball. Snagged by Holt. The spin, the throw, and he gets it. Fine play by Brock Holt back in the lineup here tonight. Still 3-2 Boston. Live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment with game day, live game video, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet today. Red Sox still on top 3-2 after that fine play by Brock Holt. Moving to his left.
Brock Holt making only his 5th start of the season at third base and just saved 2 runs.
Travis Shaw leading it off, then Benintendi and Pedroia. Red Sox got 2 right away in the first inning on the home run by Big Papi and added another one in the 3rd inning on the Mookie Betts RBI. Twice scoring Dustin Pedroia tonight. But Tampa Bay has come battling back. Shaw's popped out foul to third. Trying to get his bat restarted. He's tumbled down into the 240s. And Andriese with a 1-2. Sharply hit. Kind of an odd play by Morrison, but he makes the stab and gets the out.
Let's go back to the end of the last inning and watch the play that Brock Holt makes. Watch the quick reactions off contact by him. And then spins, lines up with first base, and the good, accurate throw across the diamond to save 2 runs for the Red Sox.
I love the interaction in the dugout. Watch this now. Porcello giving him a hug. It's the same with some of the coaches. High fives, everybody. Got hugs from Torey Lovullo and Brian Butterfield as well.
And remember, too, that's a guy playing with a bad oblique.
And it hurts him when he throws. That's where he says he gets the most pain on a throw like that one. Benintendi with a sky-high fly ball to center field. Kiermaier has to wait on this one. 2 down, time for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. And here's TC. If they stay like this, the Red Sox would like some more runs, Tom. Thank you very much. And Pedroia has scored twice tonight. He's been running wild on the bases, too. A single and a steal, a walk and a steal. Now hitting .306. And he's also hit safely in 11 straight games against Tampa Bay. Up the middle, behind the bag, knocked down by Forsythe, but no play. And Pedroia is on again.
Probably got to go as a base hit for Dustin Pedroia. Nothing routine about that play for Forsythe. Even though he's playing him up the middle, he has to charge the ball and try to backhand it.
And will be a base hit for Pedroia, his second.
Now, don't be at all surprised if Pedroia tries to run again, because you got the Bogarts up there. Again, it's a situation with 2 outs. You try to get Pedroia in a scoring position. If he's thrown out, you have Bogarts hitting in front of Ortiz next inning. So if Dustin gets the good pitch to go on, I'm sure he'll be going, if Bogarts gives him a chance.
Xander has struck out and popped up tonight. He's 0 for 2. Red Sox leading 3-2 in the 5th. Coming into tonight, it wasn't a horrible road trip for Xander, according to the numbers. He was hitting .278, but he had only driven in 2 runs. And I do wonder if it is beginning to be considered by John Farrell and his coaching staff that there may be a point where he gets moved down in the lineup.
Well, it's possible. I don't see it.
The 0-1 pitch as he foul tips that one.
I could see a possibility of Holt leading off, dropping Pedroia back in the 2 spot, and then maybe moving Bogarts down behind Bradley. That is a possibility.
Dustin Pedroia, of course, elevated to the leadoff spot. That has worked out very well. He's been hitting over .360 as the leadoff man. Trying to get hot again. Still in the top 10 in the batting race. He is 6th in the American League. Down low, another block by Wilson.
Looked like Pedroia wanted to run that time too. He was trying to time Andres at first base, and it was a good pitch to go on too. It was a changeup down in the dirt, but I think Dustin, he didn't time him quite right.
Pedroia has never stolen 3 bases in a single game. They think he's going again, and they're probably right. The way he has taken advantage of Wilson and Andres so far tonight.
Yeah, plus the situation in the ball game, the hitter at the plate, the hitter on deck, and the number of outs in the inning. I think Pedroia tried to peek in, see if he's going to see a breaking ball.
2 down. 1-2, runner holds, and it's up high.
You see many base runners do that at first base, and that's okay. That's the responsibility of the catcher to close up and make sure they can't see the signs. But a lot of guys that are trying to steal a base will take a peek in to see if they can see breaking ball. If they do something off speed, a lot of times they'll take off. See Pedroia looking in.
The 2-2 to Bogarts. Runner stays put, and it is cut on a miss. Strike 3. Down he goes. He fans for the second time. 1 man left. Bottom of the 5th inning, another close game here in St. Petersburg and the Trop as Porcello delivers a strike on Kiermaier, who is 1 for 2 with a single and scored a run in the 3rd inning. Last few innings have been a struggle for Porcello as he has allowed 7 hits, all in the last 3 innings. Kiermaier to be followed by Longoria and then Miller, so a tough part of the order for Tampa Bay. And the righties 1-1. A lunging fly into short right field. And Mookie Betts to make the one-handed grab for the out. Sox fans, if you're looking for the best seats to the biggest games, check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace, RedSoxReplay.com. It's the best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game.
You know, that last pitch, Dave, was a good sign for Rick Porcello. It was a changeup, and it was a very good one, the best one he's thrown tonight.
He'll square off against Longoria next. He's lined to left and struck out. Longoria is 2nd in the American League in extra base hits and 7th in home runs. He leads their ball club in RBIs. Got onto that one, and he pops it high to third into foul territory. Back to fair. Brock Holt to make the grab, and they're 2 down.
Another good sign right there. That also a changeup to Longoria. So a pitch that he didn't have in really the first 4 innings. Right now, he's got 2 outs on it. The off-balance swing right there by Longoria. The high pop-up in the second out of the inning. Both outs coming on changeups.
He's thrown 85 pitches here with 2 down in the 5th inning. We'll see how deep he goes tonight. But his last 5 starts, he's gone 9 innings, 8 innings, 8 innings, 7 and 7. And he's allowed just 5 hits, 4 hits, 7, 3, and 4, and no more than 3 runs in any of those starts. He's been locked in. Here's the 0-1. Soft ground ball, Pedroia there, and they go 1-2-3. Saturday morning at 9 on NESN. Billy and Jenny take on a journey at the intersection of where sports and dining meet. Dining Playbook on NESN is driven by your New England Chevy dealers. In there for a strike on David Ortiz, who has clobbered a 2-run homer and also flied to center. Red Sox ahead 3-2, 6th inning. Betts and Bradley will follow. Look at those numbers by David Ortiz we just showed you on the screen. With the 30 homers and 100 RBIs. And realize he still has a week of games left in August.
It is incredible when you look at it that way. Still a lot of baseball left to be played.
A 1-1 and a bounding ball foul off first base. Tonight game number 126 out of 162. David right now is about as hot as he has been at any stretch this season. He's batting about .425 in his last 17 games. Been on base in every one of those games. Here comes the 1-2 from Andriese. 2-2. It is an 11-game hitting streak for Big Papi. Got it to 11 with the big fly in the first. Here's the 2-2. 91, and he fouled that straight back.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back elevated fastballs. The first one not tempting, the second one very tempting for David Ortiz.
right underneath our camera. And low to make it 3-2. Betts waiting on deck. Red Sox up by a run, 3-2 in the 6th.
Going to get a changeup here on the 3-2 count.
Up the middle, sharply hit for another base hit. And he is 2 for 3 tonight.
Andriese surprised he was able to make contact on the changeup on 3-2. They elevated twice. They tried to go back downstairs. It did not get down low enough, and Ortiz right by the foot of Andriese for the base hit. See Andriese just kind of looking at Ortiz going down the first base line. It's like, man, how do I get you out?
We've seen that look before.
Yeah, by a lot of pitchers.
Hanging out with Morrison at first base. He is enjoying this final round, isn't he? Here's Mookie Betts now. He is 2 for 2. A pair of singles. He drove in a run in the 3rd inning. Somebody just hollered out from behind home plate from the seats, "Come on, MVP." And Betts very much in that conversation as he looks at a ball. Drove in his 90th run in the 3rd inning. Given how loud that was, I would have bet you anything it was Dickie V who did that, who yelled out, but he's not here tonight.
I thought he was coming tonight too.
Might have been from Sarasota. Here's the 1-1. Foul back on a big rip. Betts with 28 homers. He had 18 all of last year. .166 hits for him with 36 games to play after tonight. So you'd think a very real chance to register 200 hits for Betts. 1-2. Foul tip and held by Wilson for strike 3. So 1 man gone. Let's go down to Guerin.
Red Sox fans here at Tropicana Field, but there's a very special group here tonight. The UMass women's soccer team is attending the game. They're in the area this week to play a couple of games, and when they found out that the Red Sox were in Tampa, they begged their coach, Ed Matz, if they could come. Now, he's a diehard Red Sox fan, so of course he said yes. They are thrilled to be here, and they're all having a great time and very happy to be cheering on the team tonight. Guys.
All right, Garrett, thank you very much. That one stung on a line into right field. Souza will make the grab, and back to first base, David Ortiz. Jackie Bradley with a very good swing after striking out twice, but he lines to right.
Yeah, you can kind of book it every time. You know, if you got back-to-back strikeouts, a lot of times that 3rd at bat, you'll swing at the first pitch, and Bradley did. He got very solid contact, but a very nice jump by Souza Jr. out there in right field. Make contact like that, you think you got yourself a base hit. You look up, but the right fielder got a great jump on it and makes the play on the line drive.
Brings up Sandy Leon, who has struck out and grounded to 3rd. Red Sox leading 3-2 with 2 down in the 6th inning. Activity in the bullpen now for Tampa Bay. They're going to get a lefty going. That one is in for a strike on Sandy. Came in hitting .375 with 7 home runs. Trying to get on base for the 15th consecutive game. He lines that one, slicing it. That bounces past the left fielder Dickerson and rattles up against the fence. That's going to be 2 bases. Ortiz into 3rd and stopping there. And Sandy Leon with another extra base hit. Red Sox have some brewing here. 2nd and 3rd, 2 down.
Now you could see too the way that Dickerson was going after that ball in left field, that it was going to get by him. He was going straight across instead of trying to play the angle. Anybody with more speed than David Ortiz would have been able to score on this, slicing on the breaking ball. You see he's kind of going straight across instead of back, so he has to chase it down, but because it's Ortiz running, no run can score for the Red Sox. Not a good angle taken by Dickerson on that ball.
Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, is out for a consultation here With runners at second and third for Brock Holt, who has grounded out twice tonight, once to the pitcher and once to the shortstop. Andrews' pitching line is brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. He's in some trouble here. 7 strikeouts. He's only walked 1 man. His command's been pretty good. It's Eddie Romero throwing in their pen. Travis Shaw is on deck. Brock Holt will bat against the right-hander, though. Opportunity to pick up some breathing room here. Red Sox leading by a run with 2 down. In there for a strike.
Very shallow on Brock Holt, especially out in left field. Left field and center field playing shallow.
And the 0-1 pitch from Andrews. He left it low.
Back-to-back changeups. You know, they feel that Holt is a better hitter than Shaw, who's struggling on deck. So they're going to be very careful here with Brock Holt. If they load the bases, then they got Shaw coming to the plate. They may make the pitching change to the left-hander.
Ortiz at third. Leon at second. And a right-hander from California with a 1-1. That was an overthrown fastball, 2-1. Early in the season, first couple of months, Brock Holt was one of the most reliable Red Sox with men in scoring position in spots like this. And he had a slew of injuries to slow him down. Here's the 2-1. Around the plate, 3 balls and a strike.
There it is, the off-speed pitch again, a cutter that time to the outside part of the plate. So now the 3-1 count, and still no guarantee that Holt's going to see the fastball in this situation.
And a great count here for Brock Holt. Here's the 3-1. That's a strike. But a generous call there by Blakeney, the home plate umpire.
Yeah, that was a gift right there. Again, something off speed. The changeup, I believe, is just going to be outside, but call of the strike. And still no guarantee he's going to get a fastball 3-2.
2 down. They lead from second and third. Here it comes. Cut on and missed, and down he goes, strike 3. So the Red Sox waste a chance. Still a 3-2 game. Poppy's last home games, visit @DuncanBoston on Twitter and enter their hashtag DDThanks34 contest for your chance to win a signed baseball and tickets. Ground ball and handled nicely by Brock Holt, and he'll get him at first base. So one man out as Duffy grounds to third. Red Sox had a chance to add on some runs, but could not cash in, so it remains a close one here, 3-2.
Now, Brock's had a couple of tough plays down at third base tonight. One that saved 2 runs going to his left. Now this ball here, he has to play the in-between hop right there, and that's a tough hop to play. From that point, he can take the crow hop, step to first base, and make the throw.
Here's Logan Morrison. He's double and single tonight. In the last half of the 6th inning, Red Sox 3, Tampa Bay 2. The hits are even at 7. Morrison's had a good night, and that makes him 8 for 18 against Porcello as he flares that one foul. As a former Marlins first baseman, hit 23 home runs as a rookie in 2013, 17 last year. And there's Erasmo Ramirez throwing in their bullpen down that right field line. And the 1-1 pitch to Morrison. 2-1. Porcello has very good career numbers against the Tampa Bay franchise. 8-4 lifetime against them. 4-2 here with an ERA of 2.61. Been a little tougher tonight. Here's the 2-1. And that'll miss.
A lot of changeups in the last couple of innings. All 3 outs in the 5th inning coming on changeups. And he's thrown a bunch of them here to Morrison. But falling behind, 3 balls and 1 strike.
6th inning, he hasn't walked anyone. Being very careful with this guy who can hit it out of the ballpark. Right through there for a strike. Souza on deck, and Porcello has handled him twice, striking him out each time. And a little bit of a different story with Morrison, but not this time. He strikes him out looking. Hit a big pitch on the inside edge.
Now that's a beautiful sequence that he had that time against Morrison. He started him off with a bunch of changeups, and then he goes outside with a fastball, and then back to that 2-seamer inside. So he's got Morrison thinking everything had been away in that at bat, with the exception of one other pitch. Everything else away, and he goes to that 2-seamer inside, completely freezes him.
7 strikeouts. Souza backing out of there, getting a time call. As Porcello wanted to work quickly. Souza struck out in the 2nd inning, struck out again in the 4th inning. And that'll miss, but barely, with that breaking ball. Early in the game, he wasn't getting a lot of strikes with the curveball. He's getting more of them as it progresses. And he pops him up this time. This is going to be another very fast inning. He gets the 1, 2, 3. Lesson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Red Sox still in the lead 3-2 as we go to the 7th inning. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien with it. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Kia. They're going to bring on Erasmo Ramirez, who escaped Blake Snell's 4th inning bases loaded jam on Monday against the Sox and also pitched a scoreless 5th inning. 5'11", 200 pounds out of Nicaragua. Travis Shaw will be the first man in against him in the 7th. Red Sox have not scored since the 3rd. Shaw with a wave and a miss. He's popped up and grounded out 0 for 2 tonight. And makes Travis 2 for 18 on the road trip. In tight, 1 ball, 1 strike. So Andriese went 6. He survived a rocky start. He gave up 2-run homer to David Ortiz in the 1st inning. In the end, he allowed 3 runs, 7 hits. He did not pitch badly. And really, Archer did not last night either. It's been a low-scoring series. Lately, the Red Sox have been winning the close ones. 2-2. See Travis 0 for 4 against him. Benintendi on deck. And the 2-2. He golfed that one. A diving, sliding play. Duffy up and gunning, and not in time. So Shaw aboard with a base hit.
A nice try by Duffy as he's expecting Shaw to pull the ball because it was a changeup, so he has to change directions and go to his right. Comes up throwing, good strong throw, but Shaw hustling down the line will beat it out. So if the Red Sox can do something with the leadoff man on here in the 7th inning.
Benintendi has struck out and flied out. He's 0 for 2. Started this ball game at .323 for major league average, and he fouls that one away. Longoria has crept in at 3rd base. Benintendi starting the night hitting in the 320s at the big league level. He hit .312 in 151 minor league games over 2 years. And the 0-1. Benintendi on the trip with his first career triple and home run. They both came in the same game on Sunday. 1-1 on the way. He's only the 3rd Red Sox player to have both of those milestones in the same game. Rico Petrocelli did it in 1965, and Dwight Evans did it in 1972. The home run and the triple, their firsts in the same ball game. Pretty good company. Shaw at first base, nobody out, and the 1-2, and that one just missed.
Not by very much, too. A little bit of that yellow on the corner, but Benintendi jumping back, and the call going in his favor.
Dustin Pedroia, the on-deck hitter. And Ramirez with a 2-2 offering. Slice toward left down the line, and a fair ball down into the corner. Toward that bullpen again. Shaw into 3rd. He'll pull up there, and it's a double for the rookie. Pretty nice hitting on that swing.
Yeah, you got to like that swing. I mean, that ball's inside to Benintendi, and he's still able to get the ball to the opposite field. He's got 2 strikes on him. You see the location? Well, right down the middle, actually. And instead of trying to pull the ball, and they play him to pull with 2 strikes on him, he goes the other way. So the Red Sox really have some business going now with 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. And back to the top of the order.
And that's Pedroia, who has a very good night brewing with a pair of hits. He's 2 for 2 with a walk and 2 stolen bases. And the infield creeping in now for Tampa Bay in a 1-run game. Red Sox up by 1, trying to add on. Ball 1.
Now here's the case with nobody out. I don't believe you play contact with nobody out with Shaw at third base. If there was one out, it'd be a different story. But you got a chance to have a big inning here.
Ramirez with the 1-0 to Pedroia. He takes a strike.
And for those new to the game, by contact I mean if the ball is hit on the ground, the runner at third immediately takes off. I don't think that's going to happen even with the infield in.
On contact, he's going no matter what.
Exactly.
Bogart's on deck. We're in the 7th. Here's the 1-1. On the infield, chop runner holding at third. He went for the tag. He got him. The throw on to first base and got him. And Benintendi is hurt. And he got tagged out on the play. That's a double play with Shaw holding. But now the issue is Benintendi and what happened on this play.
Well, it was a bad read right there by Benintendi. Now, physically, I have no idea what happened to him. Looks like it's down around the ankle or shin area, maybe the knee. But with the infield in like that and the man at third base not going on contact, you can't get off the bag like that because he's not going to try to score. And that's why he gets doubled up. He gets tagged and then to throw to first base. Now, if the guy's going on contact, I can see it.
Ooh. Well, he turned that ankle, Jerry, big time. He twisted that, trying to avoid the tag and needing some help, including by John Farrell to come off the diamond. And that was a nasty turn. So that was a double play, one of the more disjointed double plays you're going to see.
See the injury here. First the tag comes and he's trying to spin out of the way of the tag. And right there, oh yeah, he turns over that left ankle. And down he goes. And that actually was a base running mistake there by Benintendi. Unfortunately, he gets hurt on it.
So the youngster who made one of the great plays defensively you're going to see all season long. There's an argument that might be the best one you'll see. Now out of the ball game after turning the ankle. We'll get you an update as soon as we can. Shaw staying put at third, and here's Bogarts. So it felt like a big inning. Now feels awfully gloomy. Bogarts tonight has struck out, popped up, and struck out again. Red Sox had runners at second and third and nobody out, and somehow a double play without scoring a run. 2-0 on Xander. Trying to pick up that RBI pace again. He's at 71 at the moment. Red Sox ahead 3-2 in the 7th. And a bounding ball to third, scooping it up Longoria, and he gets him. So that's all. A very disappointing 7th inning for the Red Sox. Still 3-2 Boston. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Sullivan Tire and Complete Auto Service. And by Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. Here's Rick Porcello's ace ticket pitching line as he has gone 6 so far. No walks, 7 strikeouts, but he's in a real fight here tonight. The Red Sox hanging on to a 3-2 lead. Going on to the bottom of the 7th inning, Chris Young has to come in to play left field because Andrew Benintendi just left due to injury. And boy, has left field been the place where players go to get hurt. For this Red Sox team, it's incredible. What a list of guys who have gotten hurt were in the lineup as a left fielder that day or night. Sky high pop up here by Dickerson. Into right, and Mookie Betts right there to wait, and he's got it. 1 pitch and 1 out. Time for a game break. Here's TC. Tom, thank you very much. Back at the Trop, Red Sox 3, Tampa Bay 2. And Porcello into his 7th inning yet again. It's been like clockwork. This guy's been difficult for him, though. Bobby Wilson. He has singled and doubled.
You know, it's hard to speculate on what type of injury that was to Benintendi. I mean, it first looked like his ankle turned over. There's no question it did, but could that have affected his knee also?
0-1 cut on and missed. Robbie Ross Jr. working in the bullpen down the left field line for the Red Sox. We will get you an update on Andrew Benintendi as soon as we can. He has quickly become a very popular young player for the Red Sox, but has gotten injured tonight as that one is flicked foul. It was an awkward tumble on a very strange base running play, on which Tampa Bay managed to turn 2 and kill that rally. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Downstairs. Brad Boxberger now in the pen getting ready for the Rays. Here's the 1-2. Off speed, swung on and missed, and he got him with that curveball.
Hey, I found a friend. I found a friend from the 5th inning on, and it's been his changeup and curveball. Good curveball, the best one of the night that he has featured to pick up the strikeout. Takes a little bit of something off it. And way off balance was Wilson on that swing.
So Forsythe is next. Fans, don't miss NESN Live weekdays at 5:30. Get your daily dose of news on your favorite New England sports teams. NESN Live is presented by Cross Insurance. Forsythe has flied to center, struck out and grounded out to third. Porcello is trying to make it 3 consecutive perfect innings. And the 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike on Forsythe. He's been a hot hitter, 349 in his last 16 games. Popped him up. There's Shaw first base into foul territory. And they go in order yet again. Still 3-2 Boston. Fenway with the purchase of a game ticket through a special offer. Fans receive a limited edition Red Sox themed player made with Lego bricks. Additionally, you'll be granted access to a kids concourse prior to the game. Tickets are limited. Go to redsox.com/Lego to get yours today. David Ortiz leading off the 8th inning in a close one here. Dave O'Brien alongside Jerry Remy and Garrett Austin. Big Papi with a 2-run homer in the first inning. He's also singled. He'll be followed by Betts and Bradley. And David takes a ball. 1-1. Ortiz slamming a 2-run shot into the right field stands in the first inning for his 30th home run. And RBIs number 99 and 100. Red Sox, however, have only scored one more run. That was on the Betts RBI single in the 3rd inning. The 2-1. Time to keep it moving moment brought to you by Old Dominion. Old Dominion Household Services, self-moving services that deliver. The 2-2. Popped him up there near the catwalk, and into right center for the out. Duffy makes the catch, and one man gone for the Sox here in the 8th.
Well, he's really upset with himself, missing that fastball that was right down the middle. You could see it at home plate. Just frustrated. Didn't even want to run down the first base line. He missed a pitch. A good pitch for him to hit. Watch David after contact.
Yep, disgusted of himself. Mookie Betts now. He's gone 2 for 3 with a couple of singles. That goes all the way to the backstop. One of them drove in his 90th run in the 3rd. And in his short major league career, he has handled Tampa Bay very well. .321 against the Rays. Ramirez with a 1-0. In on the hands and popped it up. The catcher Wilson back it up, and he makes the grab. So 2 fast outs. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC, Jim Rice, and Steve Lyons will preview Drew Pomerantz's start tomorrow against the Rays. He's been throwing the ball awfully well. Here comes Cash, and that'll do it for the right-handed reliever. And now he'll want a lefty for Jackie Bradley. Red Sox leading it by a score of 3-2. Andy Romero coming on. And we'll be back here in the 8th inning with 2 down in just a moment. No, they're holding him up. Jackie Bradley stands in, and he takes one inside for ball one from the left-hander, Andy Romero, who faced the minimum in his scoreless 8th inning on Monday against the Red Sox. Jackie's gone 0 for 3. Red Sox leading 3-2, 8th inning. If you're just joining us, Andrew Benintendi had to be helped off the field after base running play where he injured a leg. Here comes the 2-0. We're waiting for an update on his condition. If we can get one to you tonight, we certainly hope that's the case. But on the field, the Red Sox in a battle here. In a game that can certainly get away. Here comes the 2-1. And swung on and missed as it skips off the catcher.
Cut fastball that time way out of the strike zone, chased by Jackie Bradley.
Two men down here in the top of the 8th in the 2-2. And down he goes on strikes for the 3rd time tonight, and the Red Sox go 1-2-3. Rick Porcello back out there for the 8th inning with a 3-2 lead, and the first man in against him is Kiermaier, is 1 for 3, a single and a run. He'll be followed by Longoria, and then Miller, who has a 2-run double off him tonight. Ross continues to work in the bullpen.
There's certainly a guy you want to keep off base with his speed in a 1-run game.
And the 1-1 from Porcello. High fly foul. It's going to keep on cruising out of play. So the Red Sox involved in another 1-run game. They've kind of had a slew of them. They won one here last night 2-1. They won in Detroit 3-2. They lost in Detroit 4-3. They won in Cleveland 3-2. All on this road trip. Ross is ready. He had been throwing last inning too. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. It just missed. 2-2. Rick is up to 109 pitches. And he popped him up. Both Bogarts there. Xander wants it in shallow left, and one is gone. Longoria to step in next.
Ever since the 5th inning, Dave, he's found his changeup, and it's made a world of difference for Porcello. He had been really kind of struggling up to that point. He didn't have a curveball early in the game, and he didn't have a changeup. Since he's found the changeup, he's been unhittable.
Yeah, quite literally. They don't have a hit against him since that 4th inning. Don't have a base runner. He has set down 11 in a row. The cap is not getting any cleaner, but he's been getting stronger. Hammered foul to make it 1-1. Longoria has lined out, struck out, and popped up 0 for 3. CBS Health, a proud supporter of Stand Up to Cancer. We invite you to share your hashtag reasons to stand up by posting a photo or video of why you stand up to cancer and tag at CBS in action. And a 1-1. High fly ball. Deep to left. Way back it goes. It is into the bleachers, and this game is tied. Number 30 for Longoria.
That was a hanging curveball that time that Longoria jumped all over.
And a 3-3 game at the Trop.
Watch the location of this breaking ball. Just stays up in the zone and inside.
How about Porcello's reaction?
You know right away.
He certainly did. Here's Miller. He tried to do the same thing. He's done it 25 times this season. So we're starting over here in the bottom of the 8th. It's number 115. Miller has driven in 2 with a double. He's also struck out and grounded a second. This will be a new season high for pitches as it's fouled back at 115 for Rick. So he had not allowed a hit since the 4th inning, not a single base runner, but now a home run by Longoria has tied it. 1-2. Matt Duffy would be next.
Yeah, you're right. 120. Maybe that's the limit. Let's go to 120. How about 130?
2-2 coming. High fly ball into right field. That's well hit. Betts is back at the wall with room, and he's got it. 2 down.
The only difference right there between that being a home run and not being a home run, it was Porcello changeup. A little bit off speed, so that means that Miller had to generate all of his own power on it and just falls short out there in right field. There's the breaking ball, the changeup. You can see he's out on his front foot. That cost him a little bit of power, even though he still drives it to the wall.
2 down. And Duffy, the batter, that skips by everyone. He's 1 for 3 with a base hit. And now Brad Ziegler is throwing in a pen down in the left field corner. As Porcello fires the 1-0 in for a called strike. The Red Sox will have due up in the 9th inning. Leon, Holt, and Shaw, scheduled batters. And it's 2-1 on Duffy. Red Sox and the Rays to wrap up the series, and the Red Sox long road trip tomorrow afternoon. The 2-1 right through it. They get their all-star Colome going alongside Cedeno. Porcello looking for a strikeout here of Duffy, trying to get him for the 2nd time. And up the middle instead for a base hit. Duffy now 2 for 4. And here comes John Farrell. And that will do it for Porcello tonight. He goes 7 2/3, giving up 3 runs on 9 hits. And he leaves a man at first base for the bullpen. He threw a career high 123 pitches. And he gives way to Robbie Ross here in the 8th inning, and we'll have more in just a moment. Tied up here with 2 down in the 8th inning, and the batter is Logan Morrison, who has doubled and singled, 2 for 3 tonight. Tampa Bay with a base runner. Ross coming on, 2-2, 3.63 his earned run average. Rick Porcello departing after a career high 123 pitches. And a tie game as the count goes to 2-0. Flying a home run to Longoria to tie it with 1 down in the bottom of the 8th. No walks, 8 strikeouts for Rick Porcello, who leaves Matt Duffy at first base. Pop up down the line, but twisting. Holt giving it a run, but off into the stands. So an identical line score for both sides for the Red Sox. 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Same for Tampa Bay. As Longoria comes up with a big hit, his 30th home run. Best year he's had in a while. Here's the 2-1. So 3-1 now on Morrison. On deck, Steven Souza, who's gone 0 for 3.
Yes, maybe a one and done right here for Ross. If he doesn't get him with the right-hander on deck, Ziegler loosening in the bullpen.
He says yes to Leon in the 3-1. And he does walk him. That'll put runners at first and second. John Farrell out. He wants Ziegler here. Looking for a ground ball to get out of this, or a strikeout of Souza. So the go-ahead coverage on NESN Sports Today. Jerry will recap tonight's game. Plus, you'll hear from Jimmy Garoppolo. That's tonight after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank.
And that guy waving, Chris Yan, used to work for NESN. All of a sudden, he's a Tampa Bay fan.
What's up with that?
Switched.
Trader. Ziegler coming out of the pen first and second with 2 down. And taking on Souza, it's a high fly foul for a strike. Brad earned his 4th hold of the year for the Red Sox last night as he went 1 inning and struck out 1 batter. He inherits first and second. And 2 down. Souza has struck out twice and popped up once to third. Duffy at second and Morrison at first. And a little number toward the middle. Pedroia knocks it down, keeps it on the infield, and the runners are going to hold at first, second, and third. The bases aren't going to be loaded.
Yeah, fortunately, somebody, the infielder, was able to get to that Pedroia and knock it down. If he gets through the middle, it's the run. It's the go-ahead run for the Tampa Bay Rays. Ziegler couldn't make the play. Now watch Pedroia. Let that ball kick back to Ziegler's right. And Pedroia backhands it, knocks it down. That's going to keep a run from scoring. That ball had crazy spin on it all the way out to Pedroia.
Sure did. On a sideways spin. So they are all filled up for Tampa Bay. Duffy at third, Morrison at second. That's an infield single for Souza. He doesn't get many of those. And here's Dickerson, who has gone 0 for 3 and no place to put him. 2 down. And a tie game in the bottom of the 8th inning. And he'll take ball 1. Red Sox did have a 3-0 lead for a long time tonight. Tampa Bay kept chipping away, and they tied it on a Longoria home run with 1 down here in the 8th. Hard grounder, but foul to make it 1-1. So Ziegler trying to hang on and keep it tied going to the 9th. Being told the injury to Andrew Benintendi was a left knee sprain. He had to exit the contest. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. 2-1. Ziegler in Detroit had some trouble with the bases loaded. He walked in a run. Two and 1 on Dickerson. And he cuts and misses.
Well, he caught a break right there. That ball was not close to being a strike. Could have been a 3-1 count. Instead, Dickerson chases a pitch that's well down and in.
Ziegler trying to make a very big pitch here tonight. 2 down and the bases are jammed. And the 2-2. And he got him. He struck him out. Boy, he's made some big pitches for the Red Sox. We go to the 9th, 3-3. Xfinity, no decision tonight for Porcello. He gives up 3 earned runs. The home run to Longoria tied the ball game in the 8th. David Ortiz reaches 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. Benintendi out of the contest because of a sprained left knee. This one in the hands of the bullpens. As we go to the 9th inning, locked up 3-3. Xavier Cedeno coming on. His last 5 appearances have been scoreless. He retired all 4 batters he faced last night. Sandy Leon has gone 1 for 3 with a double. Meanwhile, Craig Kimbrell has just begun to loosen up down the left field line in the bullpen. Brock Holt on deck. And that'll miss for a ball. 2-0. Attendance tonight 11,896. And the left-hander Cedeno with a 2-0. In there at 89, right on the corner. Sandy has reached base in 15 straight games. A couple of home runs on this road trip. He socks that one to left field, backing up Dickerson though, and he'll make the play on the warning track. That was hit stiff. 1 man gone in the 9th.
Yeah, good hard shot right there. Nice line drive by Leon, but Dickerson just has to go back about 4 or 5 feet to make the play. That looked like a little slider that time. And right at the warning track is Dickerson as he backs into the outfield wall.
And now Aaron Hill is announced as a pinch hitter and will stay in the game to play third base. He's in for Brock Holt, who went 0 for 3. Also made an outstanding defensive play. And now Cash coming out. He has a right-hander loosening. And it looks like he's about to counter the move with Colome, who was their all-star. So both managers going to work here in the 9th inning in a 3-3 game. And we'll take a break as well with 1 man out and the base is empty. Trusted source for Red Sox tickets with the biggest selection from bleachers to boxes. Visit aceticket.com or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. Here's Colome, their closer. Hill batting for the first time tonight. He's been a tough customer. Scoreless inning last night, made 10 consecutive scoreless appearances. He has not allowed a run since he blew a save on July 23rd at Oakland. He deals a strike on Hill.
Back-to-back cut. Fastball's right there to Hill to even the count at 1-1.
Shaw next. Tied up 3-3 in the ninth. And that one rolls right by the catcher. Now tomorrow at 12, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC Jim Rice, Steve Lyons will have an update on the AL East race and the wild card races as well. 2-1 slap foul.
That's the case right there where Hill pretty much knew he was going to get a fastball in that situation and fouled it off. All bets are off now on a 2-2 count.
Toronto, by the way, in the 8th inning is down 8-0 to the Angels. The Halos jumped on them tonight. They've had a big lead most of the evening. Here comes the 2-2 to Hill. And down he goes, hacking on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and they're 2 down. Time now for our poll question, presented by People's United Bank. You see what topics people can vote on to hear Jerry talk about on NESN Sports today. Benintendi with the injury, it's actually a knee. Ortiz reaching 30 homers and 100 RBIs. No decision for Rick Porcello. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. Now Travis Shaw with 2 down and the bases clean. High fly ball into right field along the line. Souza time to get there in fair territory, and the Red Sox will go in order here in the 9th inning. Look at tomorrow's pitching matchup. It's Pomerantz against Odorizzi. This closer look brought to you by FW Web, selection expertise solutions. More at fwweb.com. Ziegler remains in after getting that big out with the bases loaded, something we have seen Brad do before.
They got the strikeout against Dickerson with the changeup. Aaron Hill goes into third base.
And Wilson, the batter, the catcher, he's had a good night with a single and a double. He has scored a run, 2 for 3. Then Forsythe and Kiermaier. As the Red Sox try and get this game to extra innings, we're tied up 3-3 in the ninth. That'll be up the middle for a base hit, however, and a 3-hit night for Wilson. So that's how the bottom of the ninth gets started.
Looks like a pinch runner coming in as we see this ground ball head right back up the middle for the base hit. No contest for anybody to make the play on that.
Montook will be the pinch runner.
Well, let's see how they play this. Do they try to sacrifice? They don't generally sacrifice very much, but with Montook at first base as a pinch runner, they may be doing that with Forsythe. Of course, Forsythe also has the power to hit one out of the ballpark. But you're dealing with a ground ball pitcher. We'll see how they play this.
Yeah, Forsythe with 16 home runs, 0 for 4 tonight. Not showing bunt. He takes ball 1. Kimbrel up again. Hoping for an opportunity to work in this game, but we are tied 3-3 and the leadoff man is on for Tampa Bay with nobody out. And he gets a piece and rattles that one foul for strike. Forsythe, since they moved him to the leadoff spot, he's not a conventional leadoff man, more like a 3 or 4, but since they moved him to the top of the order, he's hitting .352. Getting on base a lot. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Fought off again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Porcello went 7 2/3 tonight. He tossed a career high 123 pitches. Gave up 9 hits and 3 runs. He'll have no decision. Matt Andrews, their starter, went 6 and gave up 3. So it's up to the Pens. 1-2. Just a little low. Sox have won 5 straight games head-to-head with Tampa Bay. Here's the 2-2.
See Ziegler concentrating on keeping that ball down in the strike zone, trying to induce a ground ball, get a double play, 2 quick outs. Forsythe doing a good job topping the ball and fouling him off.
You don't want to make a mistake and hang one on him because he can hang you out to dry. With his power, the 2-2 from Ziegler. Chop foul again. Another one running in on the thumbs.
Once again, a lot of movement on this pitch, running back in the hands of Morrison, but fouls it off, and we'll see another pitch.
Montook getting his lead away from first. Kiermaier on deck, and the 2-2 once again. Same result. Almost the identical spot as the last several pitches.
And the question is, do you break out the big slow slider here with the count 2-2 after a number of fastballs down and in?
Nobody out and a man on here in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Locked up 3 apiece.
Shakes off the slider, shakes off the changeup.
Fouled that one off himself.
Pretty much the same pitch down and in, and foul ball right off the shin.
So it remains 2-2. Pretty good battle between these two. Ziegler and Forsythe with a base runner. Ziegler really has been a master of the double play ball throughout his career. 2-2 again. Now full count.
And will they send the runner Montook at first base?
What's your bet?
I would say yes, because he's a ground ball pitcher and they want to stay away from the double play.
A full count on Forsythe. And the Submariner back at it. Runner goes. Little dribbler toward first base, and Shaw will beat him there. Back to the bag, but down to second is Matuk. So it had the effect of a bunt.
And by sending that runner, they had no chance of getting the lead man at second base.
Here comes John Farrell. And he's going to go to Kimbrel right here to try and push this game to extra innings. One man out, but that winning run is down at second base for Tampa Bay. More in a moment. Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. TC Jim Rice, Steve Lyons preview the start of Drew Pomeranz and recap the road trip. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Time for Kimbrel to come on with one man out in the ninth inning and a runner at second base for Tampa Bay. And Kevin Kiermaier about to dig in. Last night Kimbrel recorded his 23rd save of the season as he went one inning and struck out two, the 248th save of his career. But his job now is to keep it 3-3.
Yeah, and this is unusual to see the closer in on the road here in the bottom of the ninth inning with a 3-3 ball game. But, you know, it's a situation the Red Sox bullpen is in. It's one of the reasons I think that they went into the extra inning, I thought, for Porcello tonight.
Well, base hit could win it for them as Kiermaier is in. And he will take a strike. Starting him off with that curveball. Kiermaier 1 for 4 with a single and a run back to the third inning. Mott took the runner at second. And Kimbrel's 0-1 pitch. Got a piece of it. Velocity just fine at 98. Longoria on deck. He's the man who tied the ball game with a 1-out 8th inning solo home run off of Rick Porcello. That made it 3-3. Kimbrel with the 0-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kimbrel has allowed only 2 hits the last 31 at bats over 9 appearances. Lefties are 1 for 17 in that span off him. 2-2. Back to the fastball. Runs on 11 hits for Tampa Bay, 3 runs, 9 hits for the Sox. Neither side has committed an error tonight. Two coming. He's running full now. on Kiermaier. And Longoria waits his turn on deck. A payoff pitch for Kiermaier. Only hitting .227 coming into the game. In there, strike three. Throws him with a curveball, and he'll take a seat.
All right, Kimbrel will do that a lot. When he's got 2 strikes on a hitter, he'll throw him the curveball. He starts off with a curveball against Kiermaier. That's going to be called a strike. Then it's going to be 3 straight fastballs after that. 1, 2 elevated. The third elevated. Then he goes back to the curveball again. And one more time, that time for the strike.
That sends up Longoria. There is a base open. He's 1 for 4 with the home run. Nice stop by Sandy Leon to keep Matuk at second. Back to that home run swing in the 8th.
Yeah, it's a curveball that stayed upstairs from Porcello, and he knew it right away.
Red Sox were closing in on a victory, but that tied the ball game. Longoria now has a chance to win it. He is their top RBI man. And he's a .350 hitter with runners in scoring position. A strike. 1-1. Brad Miller on deck. 2 down and a 1-1 to Longoria. Fouled away down the right field line. That was the curveball again. Let's see what Craig Kimbrel comes back with here on 1 and 2 on Longoria with a man at second. Just struck out Kiermaier with the hook. The 1-2 pitch. Trying to check his swing, and he did, according to first base umpire Conroy, and the count 2-2. So he came back with a curveball and tried to get Longoria to offer at that. He wouldn't do it. Can he guess fastball here?
It's interesting. Every time you get 2 strikes, it seems like Kimbrel goes to the breaking ball.
He sets and deals. Well, the heater again, but too high to make it 3-2.
And maybe with first base open, Longoria at the plate, he may go to the breaking ball here on 3-2. Remember, it was a breaking ball that Longoria hit for a home run off Porcello.
Matuk leading from second with 2 down. Here comes the 3-2. And he got him. Back with a fastball. He punches him out, and we are going to extra innings, tied 3-3 at the trot. to you by Jack Link's Beef Jerky all season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. To the 10th inning, we are locked up 3 apiece. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, and Garrett Austin from the Trop. And on the season, the Red Sox are 6-3 in extra innings. Tampa Bay 2-2. Luke Maile will become their new catcher. And Chris Young will bat for the first time since coming on for Benintendi, who sprained his left knee in a base running mishap late in the game. So Young to hit for the first time this evening as we go to extra innings. High and tight, a ball from Colomé. On deck, Dustin Pedroia and then Xander Bogaerts. The Red Sox have activity in their bullpen. That is Heath Hembree going. Sox once again getting outstanding work from the closer, Kimbrel, in an unusual spot. And also from Brad Ziegler. Tried to hold up, but he went. And the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Has just recently come back to the ball club as he swings and misses.
A couple of cut fastballs make it difficult there for Chris Young. The shift is on him in the infield. 3 players on the left side of the infield. Here's the cutter to the outside part of the plate and off the outside edge.
Chris activated off the DL on Monday and reached base 3 times on Tuesday. He'll take a ball to make it 2-2. In the 8th inning and later, Young has actually been one of the Red Sox best hitters. .484 with 8 extra base hits. But not this time. He cuts and misses for strike 3. Hockey fans, Billy Jaffe and Andy Brickley get you caught up on the NHL offseason with a brand new episode of Bruins Summer Face-Off Live. That is tomorrow night at 5:30.
That's the first pure fastball that Young saw. He saw a couple of cutters earlier in the at bat, but that fastball was a 96 inside, threw it right by him.
The last 9 Red Sox have been retired by the Tampa Bay staff, and here's Dustin Pedroia. He has a couple of hits tonight. He's gone 2 for 3. He scored twice, stolen 2 bases. Red Sox 3, Tampa Bay 3 in the 10th. Into right field. Souza there, though. Red Sox have hit some hard line drives here the last few innings with nothing to show for them.
Yeah, bad direction, right? Souza had to go back just a couple of steps to make the catch on a ball hit very hard by Pedroia.
So 2 up, 2 down for Xander Bogaerts. Xander's starting to get overdue. He is 0 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts, a pop up and a ground at a third. He was 0 for 2 last night. And the bases are empty. Fly ball right center field, backing up Kiermaier, and that'll do it. The Red Sox go quickly here in the 10th. Medical Center, doctors and scientists are working together on therapies of the future today. From developing new treatments to delivering leading compassionate care. Learn more at bidmc.org/cancer center. Red Sox 3, Tampa Bay 3. We're in the bottom half of the 10th inning. And John Farrell will dip into the bullpen again and bring on the right-hander Heath Hembree, who got his 5th hold of the year on Saturday at Detroit. He went an inning and a third. He did surrender a home run. He threw the 6th inning coming out of that rain delay and got the first out before the J.D. Martinez home run. And he will take on Brad Miller here in just a moment. Miller with a 2-run double in the 3rd inning off of Rick Porcello. No decision for Rick tonight. Again, he pitched deep into the game, 7 2/3, and gave up 3 runs and 9 hits. So it's Hembree to face Miller, Duffy, and Morrison for Tampa Bay. They have 11 hits. The Sox have 9. And a high fly foul out of play to the right for strike 1. Boxberger up in their pen again for the 2nd time. Red Sox right now 7-2 on this outstanding road trip. They have an afternoon game to play tomorrow at 1 o'clock before the charter back to Boston. That'll be a great flight.
You know, a couple of plays in this game were very, very big. Remember when the runner Duffy was not running and had to stop at third base earlier in the ball game. Also a play by Brock Holt at third base. A nice play going to his left that probably saved 2 runs. So on both sides, opportunities.
Foul. Certainly looks like Toronto is going down tonight. It is 8-1 Angels. They're in the bottom of the 9th inning at Rogers Center. So if the Red Sox can find a way to win this one, they would have an opportunity to take a 1-game lead in the division in first place. Right now tied with Toronto. 1-2 to Miller. Miller has hit 15 home runs since the start of July. That's the 2nd most in the major leagues over that span. He's hit 5 of them in the last 10 games. He rolls that one up the first base line, but a foul ball. 2-2. Two on Miller. Duffy on deck. And Hembree fires too high. So a full count on the cleanup man. Of Miller's 25 homers, 19 have come in this ballpark. Very fond of it here. He rakes that one. What a play there by Shaw. Fair ball, close play, got him. Hembree got to the bag in time. Outstanding play there by Travis Shaw to scoop that one just inches inside the chalk.
And fortunately for the Red Sox, Travis Shaw doing his job. He's covering the line. He didn't want no extra base hits, no doubles down that line. So you see how close he is to the line and able to make a very good play on a topspin 1-hopper to him. Crawls up to his feet and able to get it to Hembree just in time at first base to get the out.
Well, maybe a huge play in this ball game because that was going to be at least 2 bases.
Yeah, that ball gets by. There's no question it's going to be a double. The Red Sox playing no doubles as they had Shaw right on the first base line. Still over close on the first base line, and same thing with Hill at third base.
So the hitter will be Duffy with the bases empty. He's gone 2 for 4. In a 3-3 game. Morrison next. Red Sox trying to get it to 11 and would have Ortiz, Betts, and Bradley due up if they can play the 11th inning. That's a strike. And 96 right on the edge.
Yeah, Henry's got that kind of fastball, 95, 96 miles an hour.
Oh, 2 on Duffy. He's been swinging a good bat. Just missed at 95.
Very close. Just missed the outside corner.
So Leon trying to pull it back a little bit. Duffy hitting .342 since the 5th of June. And will not chase there. 2-2. And here comes the 2-2 and just a piece of it to stay alive.
Yeah, good job there by Duffy as he fouls off a slider. That was not a strike. It was about 4 or 5 inches outside, but still fouling it off. See the location of this breaking ball. Tough pitch.
The 2-2 again from Heath Hembree. Into right center field, but Bradley will cover that, and there to put it away for the second out.
And Bradley was positioned perfectly. He was really shading him to the opposite field, especially with 2 strikes on him, and made that play look very easy.
I think you're seeing a lot more of that the last couple of years. It's not just the shifting on the infield, but where the outfielders are moving.
Yeah, the Red Sox do a very good job with that, and you see constant shifting going on, especially with Jackie Bradley in center field. He plays counts.
2 down for Morrison, who's been on base 3 times tonight, a double, a single, and a walk. In between, he struck out. High fly, but it hangs up. Jackie Bradley with another play. And Hembree will face only 3 men, and we are going to the 11th inning, tied up 3-3 inside the Trop. By Jack Link's Beef Jerky all season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. Red Sox are tied up in extra innings 3-3 with the Tampa Bay Rays as the Sox try and take the first 3 in the series and attempting to go to 8-2 on the road trip. But here so far tonight, it's hit a bit of a snag as they'll bring on Brad Boxberger for his 11th appearance, and so far it's gone well, a 1.86 ERA. He's going to get David Ortiz, Mookie Betts, and Jackie Bradley. Red Sox had a 3-0 lead. That disappeared. And in the 8th inning, it was Evan Longoria slamming a game-tying home run with 1 away, and that's the reason we are in extras. Red Sox have won 6 out of 9 in extra innings so far this season. As Poppy prepares to dig in, he belted a 2-run homer, his 30th of the year in the first inning. He's added a single. He's gone 2 for 4. And here we go to the 11th with Betts on deck. And Boxberger with his first pitch. That was a home run cut on an elevated fastball for strike 1.
Yeah, a lot of times on that first pitch, if Ortiz is looking for a fastball, he's looking middle in. Not a pitch like that that's up and away.
David with exactly 100 RBIs as of now. Here's the 0-1. That's the heart of the order for Boston. Trying to jump on this bullpen. The 1-1. Foul back to the screen on a healthy rip.
And again, all 3 pitches so far away from David Ortiz. Feeling is here, if David's going to beat us, he's going to have to beat us to the opposite field.
0 for 6 off of Boxberger. David tonight hitting career home run number 533. 2-2. Crowd of just under 12,000 tonight at Tropicana. Boxberger firing, and he got him. David still does not have a hit against that right-hander. He strikes out, 1 away in the 11th.
Well, he challenged him. There's no question about that. All fastballs to David Ortiz in that at bat. He started out away. He came back inside. And this last one up in the strike zone and a little bit away.
Here's Mookie now, 2 for 4, a couple of singles, a strikeout and a pop to the catcher. And he'll take inside for ball 1. He has yet to score a run tonight. When he does, it'll be the 100th run of his season. He leads the American League in runs. Red Sox would love to see him score himself here.
Yeah, he starts him off with back-to-back changeups. See if he stays with that partner. He comes with a 2-1 fastball. If it is, Mookie should be looking middle in. Fastball away.
The 2-0 pitch. He thought about it, but he stayed away. That 93-mile-an-hour Swifty, and the count goes to 3-0.
Not even close on the 2-0 count. Stays upstairs and out of the strike zone.
Jackie Bradley on deck, and that'll be ball 4. So the Red Sox have speed on the bases, 20 stolen bases for Mookie Betts. That comes with 1 down. The go-ahead run is aboard. Jackie is 0 for 4 tonight.
And I'm sure Betts in this situation, this time of the ball game, has the green light to go if he feels he can get a jump.
Jackie's had a tough time making contact tonight. He has struck out 3 times. In between, he lined out hard to right field. And the first pitch, a strike. Now, Mookie had darted off the bag and then retreated to first base. Let's see what he's up to here on 0-1 with 1 man out. And Boxberger throws over again. Leone on deck. Here's the 0-1 to JBJ. Runner holding. That's a strike at 94.
2 pretty good pitches, you know, in a good zone for Jackie Bradley, but he takes them. Pitches down and in. was actually a misfire. It was supposed to be a fastball away. It stayed inside, but still a good pitch.
Not many hits on the road trip for Jackie yet. He is 6 for 35 on it. 0-2. Mile high pop up. The catcher is Mailey, and that one is over the top of that screen. That almost struck an unsuspecting fan who was just kind of leaning back looking at that pop up. And there's plenty of room to move around down there. He's almost nailed this poor fellow.
He was looking in the wrong direction.
Oh, and 2 on Jackie. There goes Mookie Betts, and it swung on and foul tipped, and it got a piece of Mailey. Got him on the hand.
Mookie picked a good pitch to go on too. A changeup that time, an off-speed pitch. But of course, with 2 strikes, you can't take the pitch. If you're Jackie Bradley, you've got to be swinging. And the foul ball right off the hand of Mailey.
He had really gotten an excellent jump, Mookie Betts. And the catcher out for a visit here. We are all tied up 3-3 in the 11th inning. And the Red Sox have their fastest man aboard. It's a night that has seen the departure of Andrew Benintendi to a sprained knee. It was a very awkward play out around second base, a play that turned out to be a double play for Tampa Bay. It's a lost opportunity for the Red Sox. Here's the 0-2 now. Throw over to first base and back in Betts. Three runs, 11 hits for Tampa Bay. 3 runs, 9 hits for Boston. David Ortiz has struck out in the inning. Mookie Betts taking ball 4, and now 0-2. And a shot down the right field line, but foul as that one ran in on him. And back to the Benintendi injury.
At first, it looked like his ankle turned, and that must have affected something in his knee. Watch his left ankle turn, and then I believe after that, the knee buckles.
So they're calling that a sprained knee. And you hope they say later he's just day to day. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. The runner goes. Waved at and missed, and no throw by Mailey, and diving into second base on the strikeout is Mookie Betts with number 21. So now 2 down.
Change up again, so Mookie picks the good pitch, but the pitch way outside, and no contact by Bradley. Not a throw either by Mailey. He had no chance to get Betts.
So the Sox have a man at second base with 2 away. 21 steals for Mookie. And Leon will try and pick him up. 1 for 4 with a double tonight. And he takes a strike, an off-speed pitch at 80 miles an hour.
I think they're taking a gamble right here pitching to Leon. Leon's been fairly hot, and you got a right-hander, Hill, on deck. First base open.
He started him out with a soft one away. Outfield pretty shallow in left and center on Sandy Leon. 2 men out, tied 3-3 in the 11th inning. Sox trying to retake the lead. 0-2. Came right at him with a heater.
Got a good fastball, 94 miles an hour that time, up and in on Leon. Basically a 2-pitch guy, fastball changeup.
And the 0-2 pitch from Boxberger, and he left it up top. This is game number 10 on this arduous 11-game road swing for the Red Sox. It's been some trip. So many levels. Here's the 1-2. Little blooper popped up and into foul territory.
Good job there by Sandy Leon. That was a very good changeup down and away and too close to take. Leon's able to make some type of contact, hit it foul, and he will get to see another pitch. It's one of those pitches, you know, it's not a strike, but you don't want to leave it in the hands of the umpire.
Anthony Ramirez getting a rest tonight. He'll be the DH tomorrow. Big Papi will rest. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. And down he goes, strike 3 with a fastball. Red Sox strand a man at second, still tied 3-3. Tampa Bay and the Red Sox tied up 3-3 as we give you a look at the upcoming schedule. Now the road trip comes to an end tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Then the Red Sox are back home at Fenway for the first time in just about a couple of weeks. On Friday against Kansas City, 3 against the Royals, 3 against Tampa Bay, and then it's back to the road again. Red Sox will have a lengthy trip to the West Coast, Oakland, San Diego, an off day, and then back inside the division for crucial games against Toronto. Embry continues to pitch now to the 11th inning. He got him in order in the 10th. And it'll be Souza to lead it off here for Tampa Bay. He is 1 for 4 in this one. And he cracks that one to dead away center field. Jackie Bradley with the catch. Right at the edge of the warning track. 1 pitch and 1 away.
You know, it's so much fun to watch Bradley in center field from straight away here where our viewpoint is, because you can see him get jumps on the baseball. Always seems to make the correct read. See Jackie Bradley pretty much playing straight up out there, slides a little bit to his left. He spins around the other way and able to make the catch about at the warning track.
1 man away. Dickerson, the batter, 0 for 4. He'll take strike 1. He has grounded out, flied out again, and whiffed. And the 0-1 from the right-hander. He popped him up. Up near a couple of catwalks, but Young to make the one-handed grab. 2 up, 2 down. And fast outs here in the 11th. Luke Maile will now bat for the first time. Came on for the catcher Wilson. Red Sox will have due up in the 12th inning. Hill, Shaw, and Young. But Hembree has to get through the number 9 hitter right here. And he deals strike 1, 97, very confident strike. Here's the 0-1 pitch from a hard-throwing righty, and he buried that one.
Right on the line at third base is Hill, trying to prevent against the double. The outfield for the Red Sox very deep, also trying to prevent the double.
Kevin Jemison in their bullpen. Bases are empty with 2 down, and the 1-1 will drift inside. And Hembry's 2-1 coming. 93, snuck it past him, 2-2.
I mean, he's been anywhere from 93 to 97 with his fastball. Last pitch rising at 93 miles an hour. Gets a swing and miss.
Now, if the Red Sox can win this game, they will be in first place by themselves by a game, because Toronto got rocked 8-2 by the Angels. That one lined down the right field line. Fair ball to the corner. Betts will play the carom and into second base. That'll be 2 bases. So Maile coming out and spanking a double down the line with 2 away.
Well, good job by Maile coming into the game late, down by a couple of strikes, and able to slice one right down that right field line into the corner, down to the 322. So he gets in scoring position with 2 outs.
And that'll bring up the top of the order for Tampa Bay, and Logan Forsythe. He's gone 0 for 5. Tied up 3-3. That's 12 hits now for the Rays. And they frankly have had the better of the scoring opportunities over the last 3 or 4 innings. Embry trying to hold with 2 down, and he delivers ball 1. Kiermaier on deck.
Red Sox infielders playing very deep, second and short especially, trying to knock down any kind of ground ball and not allow that run to score from second base on a ground ball to the infield, or actually trying to get through the infield.
Maile off second and fouled back. He is a catcher. He runs better than Wilson, the man he replaced, for sure, but a catcher nonetheless. Red Sox with Young in left, Bradley in center, and Betts in right. And the 1-1 coming. Forsythe has been one of their better hitters lately. He's hitting .349 the last 16 games, but he's 0 for 4 against Hembry. Red Sox trying to force this game to 12 innings. It is a good count for Forsythe. 3 balls and a strike. Two men out, and here comes the 3-1. High and tight, and he walks him. That'll put runners at first and second. And we'll send up Kiermaier.
That just goes to show you that pitch, the 3-1 breaking ball right there, that they have much more confidence in getting Kiermaier out than they do Forsythe.
Kiermaier is 1 for 5, a base hit in the 3rd, and he scored a run then against Rick Porcello. They would tie the game on a Longoria home run with 1 down in the bottom of the 8th against Porcello. So here we are in the 11th, first and second for Tampa Bay. Here's the throw back to second base. It skips, but gobbled up by Bogaerts.
Yeah, very dangerous there, because Bogaerts was not expecting a pickoff attempt from Sandy Leone. He was playing deep And behind that, well behind the runner at second. Watch Bogaerts now. He doesn't even make an attempt to go to second base until he sees the throw made.
The Rays have not hit a walk-off home run in more than 2 years. May of 2014, Sean Rodriguez said it's the longest active drought in the majors, ahead of the Red Sox, whose last walk-off home run was Mike Napoli in June of 2014 against Minnesota. Here's the 1-0 from Hembree. In for a strike. Two on, two out, tied 3-3. 0 for 1 against Hembree. Not much to go on there for Kiermaier. Bailey off second. And the 1-1. On the infield, tap to first base. Travis Shaw feeds the pitcher, and it's dropped. And here comes the run. Here's the throw home. The tag. He's out. Oh, now he's safe. He lost it. And that's the ball game. Leon had it for a split second, but the umpire, Blakeney, rules him safe at the plate when it rolls away. And they win it in 11 by a final score of 4-3. Red Sox got sloppy on that play.
Well, yeah, first of all, the ball's going to be dropped. It looks like by Hembree at first base. And credit the runner at second base for never stopping. Yeah, he never had control of the baseball. He comes around the head for a slide, and the ball was never in the control of Sandy Leon.
And so Maile racing in. The throw not really a great one.
Watch the runner at third base now run the bag, and he sees he stops. He actually stops, and when he sees the ball get by, that's when he goes. They had a chance at him, but the throw is going to be late, and never controlling the baseball was Sandy Leon.
And that is the ball game. So Tampa Bay pulls it out as they win in extra innings by a final score of 4-3, TC.